Welcome. It is 10:08 a.m. Eastern Time here on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair. And you know what that means. It's time to kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy. It's time for the Digital Dash. I am your host, Javier Reyes. And for the next 3 hours, I'm going to be talking to you about all the stories, impressions, unabashed opinions, and the little idiosyncrasies out there that exist in the world of pop culture goodness, and sometimes featuring only, and I mean only, the most illustrious of guests out there. And today, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, this might be the greatest episode yet, or edition, I should say, because this week we got a lot of special guests. The first, we got my friend Josh Tirado, who's in here in the studio right now.
Hello, it is I. I'm still here. Josh,
he's still
also
here.
known as Josh.
Josh, also known as Josh. He was on the Morning Buzz before. We're going to be talking about the Borderlands 3 thing in just a second. And also, after that, at around 11, Natalie Weiner of SB Nation, staff writer there, and contributor to other music publications and such, is going to call in. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, whether it be sports, music, whatever. That's going to be a lot of fun. Really excited to have her on. An illustrious guest, to be sure. Isn't that right, Josh?
Yes. Indeed.
Indeed. And then, lastly, around 11:30-ish, my friend Mike Cavalier, I shouldn't say friend, I'm sorry. My arch nemesis Mike Cavalier is calling in, along with John the Legend Ostrowsky. And for the first time ever, my friend Chris Beeck. And they're coming on for the sequel to the hit of last semester. The Superhero Fantasy Draft was a hit, Josh, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And this semester, today, we're doing the Supervillain Draft.
Amazing.
Amazing, right? See what I did there? Instead of superheroes, it's like villains now. Like, that's the sequel.
Yeah. That was very creative. I would have never guessed.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? I'm going to take myself first overall as for supervillains. But yeah.
Aren't you like C tier?
Yeah, oh, man. No, I'm like meme tier. I'm the lowest.
Yeah, that's what they'll never expect.
Exactly.
When
they'll
they're not
never
looking,
expect
you
it.
just sweep Bane's ankle.
Yeah, picking me would be like picking a kicker in fantasy football first overall or something like that. That's basically the equivalent of it.
It's like that one commercial for like Duracell. It's like he won't auto draft the picker in the 9th round. Hey, ever seen that commercial? Is that a yes or no?
No, I don't know what you said. I zoned out for a second.
There's this one commercial for like Duracell for like a mouse battery, and it's just like Duracell's better, so you won't accidentally draft a kicker in the 9th round.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right, and it's like
Yeah.
when you're cooking burgers, you won't think about that time that you
Yeah.
drafted a kicker in the 9th round.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So usually what would happen now is, you're right there, bud?
Yeah.
Usually what would happen now is we take a break and we do the opening dash, but there wasn't really a lot of crazy news stuff that happened last week. There was some gaming stuff. There was the state of play from Sony, which was fine. It happened. It exists. Cool. DC Comics, they're adding like their full DC Comics library to that streaming service. Game of Thrones is having a final season documentary. There's some Avengers Endgame posters that were released. What else? The EA laid off people. That's stunk. 350 people. But that was basically it. You know, there wasn't too much. So I figured instead I'd focus on one thing that happened last week. Just one thing. And that's why I have Josh on.
Yeah.
He didn't answer my message last night, so I didn't know if he was going to be on or not, but
No,
I
I don't know
figured.
when you said
I should
that.
have assumed he would come on because I know he would be. I knew he'd be down. Yeah, because he was here and I don't think he has class, so there we go.
I don't have class till 11:30.
Oh, there we go. So I brought Josh on.
Well,
Or
Javier
I
just got the
allowed
message.
Josh to be on, whatever phrasing you want to say,
Mm-hmm.
to talk about Borderlands 3, which was revealed last week at PAX in a, how do I put this? A less than ideal press conference from
I don't know what you're
Gearbox.
talking about. It was a fantastic.
It was
press conference.
fantastic. You think so?
Yes.
So for those who don't know what
Top
we're
tier.
talking about, PAX is like a kind of a gaming convention where there's kind of an equal balance of both mainstream, popular like AAA studios that show up and also like indie titles. Gearbox is certainly no indie studio, and people have been waiting for a while for the sequel to Borderlands 2, which came out, I think it was 2013, so it's been like a long time.
2012.
2012?
Borderlands 2 came out 2012.
My gosh. So people have been waiting for that for a while. I remember about a week and a half or so ago, they put out an image of a highway sign that said March 28th, and then there was a little 3, a highway. It was like intersection 3 on top of that, basically kind of teasing that they were going to announce Borderlands 3. And they did that, Josh. But they did some other things, too. I wanted to talk about that. We watched this with Amanda Cease last, what was this, Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. That's when the conference was. I believe it was Thursday.
I think it was Wednesday.
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Thursday. Yeah, because I saw Mario that day editing my project. That's why. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost 100% certain.
And then later that day, we talked to Pat.
Yeah, that's right. There we go.
All right, it was Thursday.
It was Thursday. And the conference was... Josh says it was the best, and I agree, man. It was the best. So they basically teased everyone for 40 minutes of not showing anything Borderlands 3. They're teasing some other projects that they're publishing or they're endorsing, whatever you want to put it for a publisher. Like this one cool co-op game that you said you downloaded, I think. I forgot what it was. It was early access.
Risk of Rain.
I
saw people playing it.
How was it? How did it look?
I didn't stay in. I was there for 5 minutes. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't really care that much. Where's Borderlands 3?
That's fair. That's fair. And we also watched it with Amanda Cease. We should say that. We were watching it all together in the studio. And there were a lot of weird things that happened. So first of all, Randy Pitchford, I think, is a psychopath. I'm convinced of this. I really think that he's crazy. Just his attitude at the beginning. He's like one of those adults that's finally starting to figure out how to be new and whatever the word is, hip. He realized it 2 weeks ago. He's like, oh, this is what you do. But he still keeps messing up all the time. You know what I mean? He's like that parent. When it comes down to it, you're not ashamed of them.
No,
but they always show up and try to be a big deal.
It's kind of like he said that he'd get us an Xbox One for Christmas, right? No, he said he couldn't get us an Xbox One for Christmas because the budget is tight. But he has it in his closet right now, wrapped up and ready to give us. And he's trying to act like he doesn't. Right. But he does. And he's a bad actor.
See, you've already only been on the show for 5 minutes, and you're better at doing analogies than me.
I just know these things.
You just know these things. And one of the things that happened was he did a magic trick. So there was this there was this claptrap. Claptrap. I can't speak to that.
Tiny Tina's Robot Party.
Tiny Tina's Robot Party, which is assemble your own claptrap. It's like a little fun card game or whatever. But it was an interesting strategy that they decided to incorporate in this conference because they didn't actually demo the game. It was just Randy Pitchford.
Yeah, they say we got a cool card game for you. We're not gonna play around of it or anything. We're gonna take these two people whose birthday it is from the crowd, and we're gonna do a magic trick.
That's it.
Not even
so they do the magic trick, and one of the things that was required is to say a number.
And so the lady that they take from the audience, instead of saying 5. Yeah. She says 47.
47. So Randy Pitchford sits there slowly pulling out 47 cards. And what's funny is he kept asking. He asked twice, are you sure 47? Are you sure? So then they went with it. And it took a while, let's just say. And it was so slow. And I remember when we were watching it, I didn't realize until 10 minutes in. This lasted a while. Maybe 5 minutes, and it was 10 minutes. That this was not actually the game, that he was just doing a magic trick with the cards. Yeah. So what better way? It's like if you were demoing, imagine if someone demoed Yu-Gi-Oh, but they were like, oh, we're just using it for a Pictionary type of thing. You know what I mean? For a card trick. They're like, guess the star level. It's okay. It's that's not how you play, though. Oh, man. And so that happens. And it's a disaster. Everyone's laughing and making fun of it online. It's really just a great moment. He's just doing a magic trick. It takes forever. Amanda's bashing her head on the computer screen practically, waiting for them to just show Borderlands 3. And what do? They finally show a trailer, Josh. But what happened? What is it that happened first?
You would think that all this time spent doing this magic trick would give the production in the background enough time to figure out how to run a trailer properly. Absolutely not. They try to show the Borderlands remastered trailer and it just does not work. We end up seeing they're using QuickTime Player. Freaking Windows 10 opens up. Man. And Randy's not having it,
He's not having it.
We're trying to show you, I'm just going to tell you. Right, he brings out the cast and crew, not the cast and crew. They do bring out the voice actor,
some of the programmers,
the voice actress who plays Angel.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Even though she never opens her mouth, it's just telepathically talking to you. So they had her stand on stage awkwardly and look into the camera while they try to get this trailer to work, but it doesn't work. So they just tell us by mouth that Borderlands Remaster is coming Wednesday.
I didn't even realize that. You told me before we started the show that's what they meant, because it kind of got buried because they messed up.
Because they couldn't show the trailer.
It restarted it 3 times, it felt like. And it never happened. For the remaster, it never worked. So I don't know. Is that trailer up now, maybe?
Yeah.
Did they put that up for the official, what they were trying to show? And what was funny is at one point you can see, or no, this happens later. Then Pitchford, kind of in an attempt to save it, right? he takes off his jacket and behind him is a 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, oh, Borderlands, a shocker. Oh, here we go. So everyone's kind of excited again. They're like,
I'm
all
pretty
right.
sure he does that before the trailer fails, though.
Does he? Not for the remaster, I think he did.
He
Not
does
for
it after
Borderlands
the
3.
remaster. Yeah. When the remaster fails, he's like, all right, I guess I'll show you the 3.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he does that. Almost in an effort to save it. So people are kind of back into it. They're like, all right, it was a garbage truck on
finally.
fire before, but let's just show us Borderlands 3.
Dad is bringing out the big wrapped box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the closet. You're like, is it what I think it is?
Yeah.
And he's smiling, you know? He's like, son, that's exactly what you think.
And what happens is...
The tape is on. There's too much tape on it.
Yeah. There's
metaphorically speaking.
For this case, there was too much... It didn't work immediately.
Yeah.
The trailer for Borderlands 3.
Double wrapped. You know,
there's a point when Randy Pitchford is just looking off the stage and just completely breaks character. Not character, but I mean character kind of too.
Yeah.
But he just breaks his calmness, like everything's fine, and he's just like, "Come on, guys, you gonna help me out?" Like we were all joking, like someone just got fired.
Yeah, somebody is definitely.
So my condolences to whoever might have gotten fired. I really feel bad about that.
Moment of silence for them.
Yeah, moment of silence. And,
but anyway, keep an eye out. There's gonna be a Borderlands remastered WMSC playthrough.
Yes, absolutely. We should do that at our 52nd anniversary stream.
Oh,
we should just play that.
Screw the card.
7 hours long.
Yep. Let's see how fast we can beat it.
And one of the great moments about this is, personally, I thought the trailer was cool. It was cool, especially when you compare it to what previous Borderlands looks like. There's definitely something.
Apparently,
some
Polygon thinks the trailer is
So
garbage.
I saw that, and a lot of people were giving Polygon flack for that. It was fine. I didn't
One
find
of
it
the names
like
of the
bad.
characters is flag.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't find the trailer like incredible. Like, wow, I am stoked. That could be just because we waited so long.
Yeah, I'm just
And
happy
all
to see a
the
trailer.
nonsense, and then for them to be like 2 minutes, and for not. I think my problem was that there wasn't even a timetable. You know, I wish that they were like, okay, 20, like
I joined
early
the
2020.
Borderlands Discord, right? And I
really?
heard no later than November.
No later than November, huh?
Yeah, so I'm thinking hopefully it's later this year that we get it.
I think we could. They might announce that at E3, maybe. They could. I could see them saying it's fall. I mean, it's been so long. They said they've been working on the game for 5 years. As Josh mentioned before, they also announced that Borderlands Remastered is coming, which is something I told you about and was rumored for a while, because they actually have never released the first game ever again as a remaster, which is kind of surprising. So I'm really excited for that. Going to check that out. But let me tell you, another moment that I really enjoyed in the conference, which we made a lot of jokes about, they made this epic pause when they were introducing a guest. They were like, and introducing a very special guest. So we kept making jokes about who that could be and how what would be the craziest person for them to bring out on stage right now. Names like Colin Kaepernick, Robert Mueller were thrown out, Mario Papa here of WMSC. So that was a fun time. Josh, is that one of the worst conferences you think you've seen?
I think that was one of the best.
You think it was one of the best? You're going the other way.
Hilarious.
It was good, bad. It was hilarious.
It was a good bad, you know?
It was good, bad?
Because it didn't feel long. Other conferences, like...
That's true.
They feel long, and you don't really care. Even the stuff that I didn't really care about, I cared about. You know, it's not like some other... Well, I think it's also because it's only Gearbox, and it's not like a PlayStation conference or a Microsoft conference where you'd see a whole bunch of things.
Right.
Like in the Microsoft conference, I saw so much stuff I didn't care about until Gears of War 5. They released that trailer, and that got me super hyped. But before that, you know, they had released the Gears of War Funko Pop game.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that.
That was random.
Yeah.
That was random. Oh, my gosh.
In the middle of my Gears of War 5.
And for
and
me...
also the XCOM type
that's true.
game.
Yeah,
I
forgot. That would be kind of cool. But, you know, I'm not huge into Gears anyway, but let me tell you, Josh.
That's my childhood.
I don't think it's like the worst conference I've seen. Like, objectively, was it a well-done conference? No, obviously not. Was it entertaining? Yes. That could be just because we were all watching together and making the dumb jokes about the special guest. That could be part of it. I mean, I was crying.
The world's heaviest athlete, Mark Henry.
Because I'm not kidding. I will rewatch it again. They made this dramatic pause, like they were going to have someone really big. And, you know, they had like a programmer went on, like maybe, I think it was the main program, which is cool and all. I'm not trying to diss the people, the hardworking people.
Creative director.
Yeah, the creative director.
As Kanye
but they
would say.
teased it like, oh man, we're having like Kanye West. Exactly. Like we're going to have that person on the stage. Let me tell y'all, I'm going to let y'all finish, but Borderlands 3 is going to be the best game ever made.
What does Randy Pitchford know about magic tricks?
And let me tell you, I've watched a lot of gaming conferences in my day. I don't think it's the worst. I think there have been some that have just been straight up boring and like not redeemable. Like say if they at the beginning of the conference it was a little boring, and like not entertaining in a way. Like we were just like, all right, hurry up. We were laughing, but we were just like, hurry up. That happens a lot with, I know PlayStation has a bad history of that. I remember one year they had this Wonder Book game and they played it for like 30 minutes and nobody cared and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Josh, how excited are you for Borderlands 3 though?
I'm very excited.
Very excited?
I've waited 7 years.
7 years.
7 years.
How
7 years ago.
Don't you dare. What's your experience with the other Borderlands games? How much did you beat both of them? How far did you get?
I never beat fully the first one, even though one of my friends insists that we've beaten the final boss and we farmed him. Like every time we mention it, he's like, oh, remember that time when we fought, I think it's like Cromarax, when we fought Cromarax and you did the glitch spot? And I was like, I've never even beaten Borderlands 1. He's like, what? We were fighting him.
Yeah.
I was like, that wasn't
you
me,
don't remember?
Bro. Someone else.
You were just in the days at 5 o'clock in the morning, grinding for loot.
That was one of those
and you were
summers.
like, oh wait, I guess I beat the game. Because there's not really a beat the game feeling. You just fight that last boss and then it's just kind of over and then you do what you want. Yeah. Borderlands 2 is more climactic because they kind of put more story into it with Mr. Handsome Jack. And my experience, let me tell you, I think it was with, you mentioned how you don't remember like if you beat it.
No, I know I never beat Borderlands 1.
Oh, really? So you're convinced, even though your friend keeps telling you that?
Yeah, I don't know where he's thinking of some other friend because I've never beaten Borderlands 1. My memory is precise. I've got a level 20 Berserker, I think.
Wow. Oh my gosh, yeah. Borderlands 2, I don't know if I ever beat Borderlands 2. I don't think I did.
Beat it
I might have like watched someone
times.
beat it. I think I watched someone beat it from someone else's like playthrough or something like that.
The
first game I beat by myself, all by myself.
I never beat Borderlands 2 with a Necromancer, which is one of the DLC characters. I know for a fact my highest level ever was like level 20 with her.
Interesting.
But with every other character I've done multiple times. I don't think I've done it legitly with a Gunzerker because he's garbage in the beginning by himself.
Yeah, he is.
And also an assassin. I've beaten him, not all the way to Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, just normal mode.
Right. What was I was gonna say before? One game that I, for the longest time, didn't know if I beat or not was Castle Crashers, and it was because I actually beat it the first time I played it because I joined like I think it was my sister's Xbox Live party, and they kind of just ran through the last level. Like that's where they were, and I just joined in, so I technically beat it. You know what I'm saying? But so I remember there came a point where I was like, I've played this game a lot, but have I ever really even beaten it? I don't think I've ever beaten this game. And I remember my sister told me, it's like, yeah, it was one of the first things you did when you got Xbox Live, so that was fun. I'm really looking forward to the first Borderlands. It was a game that I played all by myself because I was a loner, and I'm excited to play it again just because, or I'm likely to play it again if I have time, because it's a really great game for listening to podcasts. And I love listening to podcasts. It's just great background noise. You don't really have to be paying attention to story in that game like at all. And it's just very dry, very barren. It's not as good as the second game. I think the second game is objectively better, but I have better memories of the first game because I think I hate people. I didn't like playing with my friends. They were mean. They were mean folk. By myself, I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we steal the loot.
I tried to convince my friends for the longest time to get the first Borderlands. It took forever. And then I had other friends that got the second one.
My friend was the one to convince me and one of my other friends to get Borderlands 2. I remember, it's one of those weird parts of my memory. I remember vividly when he was telling us, it was probably like 11 p.m. His brother went to the midnight release. We were playing Gears of War 3, right? Because that's the game we would play, the three of us. And we were on the map Hotel, right?
Okay.
And he was telling us how we had to get Borderlands 2. And I was like, man, if you say that, I gotta get it then.
I went broke at that point. I think Arkham City came out around that time, the Batman game. I got Arkham City. I got Gears just because of hype level. I never was like a fan of the first two. I just got it because it was a big game and everyone else was kind of playing it.
I love Gears.
I lose my mind playing the multiplayer in that game. But Horde mode was a lot of
you
fun.
lose your mind?
Yeah.
You don't know. I will rage. My room will literally raise 2 temperatures because of how much I'm screaming and fuming, right? But I'll still be top of the leaderboard and dominating, but I'm still just
that's nuts,
the
man.
anger,
the fury, the fury. You're like Zuko. Yeah, exactly.
My honor.
Yeah, your honor.
It's my honor. I still love it. It's such a love hate thing And it's so amazing. Let me tell you, I'm good at that game. I used to be. I'm
You
not
probably-
good right now.
yeah.
If I go back right now, I'm
You
gonna
get destroyed. Yeah.
I'm gonna get washed back
Yeah,
and
yeah.
forth. But it was
That-
one
that
of
was
those
like
games
me.
where I could get, people in Call of Duty, some good people, they drop like 80 kills.
Mhm.
I did that in Gears of War, which is, let me tell you,
That's
one,
like
there's
downs
less
and
people.
kills, yeah.
There's less people, right? It takes longer to kill them, and you have like 12-second respawns.
Yeah.
And I did that in a game with only 4 people per team, in the remastered version of the first one.
My man is a fiend. He's a beast.
Yo,
Don't mess with Josh at Gears
Don't
of War
mess-
3.
if
in
you're
the
out there,
past.
I'm about to wall bounce.
In the past.
In the past, right now, give me some time.
Yeah, give him some
Give
time.
me some time.
When he acquires the time stone and
Yeah.
goes back, and then he can
Once I
bring
get
back
the
his-
Infinity Stones,
Yeah, when
I'll
he's-
go back to 2013 when I had nothing to do but play that.
I mean, man, it was Borderlands 2, Gears of War 3, and then what was the last one? Arkham City, and I think one
City.
other game. Max Payne 3
I
is a
see,
big
that
game
was
that I
a-
loved around that time. I don't know if it
Around
came
that
out
time,
at the same
Halo
time.
Reach as well. That was
Halo-
a year before.
Year
Gears
before,
3.
yeah. And I just remember being like, bro, it's like $180 just gone. I don't even know how I afforded that in high school. I have no
What
idea.
do you mean? My mother paid for them.
My mom didn't pay for any of them, I don't think. Maybe one of them. I think she paid for, not Arkham City, not Borderlands. What was the third one that I was thinking of? Gears? Maybe she
Gears
paid for
or
that.
Max
No.
Payne.
No, I don't remember. Because I sold like a bunch of stuff. I don't know what I was doing.
Oh.
I sold like a hat for $20. It was like I was doing anything, everything, whatever it takes is the line everyone's using these days. So Josh, we're excited for Borderlands.
I'm excited. You're excited. We're all excited.
You're gonna
You
get
know
it
who's
on.
not excited though?
Who?
A lot of these people in this Borderlands 3 Discord, they're saying the trailer is a huge disappointment. And
I
saying
think that's
that-
because of the build up to it.
Yeah,
If you're gonna
well,
have
I
a whole
think-
conference,
'cause-
I think
no,
people
I
are like,
think
"Oh, you're gonna demo it
the
too."
way it looks, they're saying
Yeah,
it
yeah.
looks like Borderlands 2 just reskinned.
It looks like Borderlands 2, but it's a little bit better, and I don't think that necessarily matters.
Yeah.
The problem is that this is the type of game that it's gonna look disappointing because it's not gonna blow you away by graphics with that type of trailer. A lot of times people will just be like, "Oh wow, the graphics look so bad for the games," but that's what happens when you do trailers.
Well, I don't think it's the graphics are bad. It's just they look the
No,
same.
yeah, they look the same, and that's the problem when you have reveal trailers like that, where they could have so many new features in this. They could be like, "There's 8 people at once now," or like whatever the cool features are. That you can travel to different planets that each have 1,800 different whatever.
Yeah, that'd
But
be amazing.
the problem is that they don't really show off the game. They just showed like this kind of orchestrated reveal trailer. So then people therefore are just like, "Oh, it looks the same." But
Yeah.
if you do something like this just came to mind, like Infamous Second Son, which looks graphically different, but when it came out, kind of the same as usual Infamous is, but just it's kind of different. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's the problem. I think that this wasn't a worthy reveal to be like, yes, this is the day. Tune into our conference for it. You know what I mean? Unless they were gonna play it, they're gonna play it live. Or the other thing is that I think a lot of this would have went better if the conference went better. They were gonna go back to back, be like, Borderlands Remaster coming out. We got this card game coming out. We got those other things are getting a
got
free
Risk of
update.
Rain.
The Handsome Collection's getting a free update, and then finally here's Borderlands 3. If you did that back to back to back, I think people don't complain as much.
Yeah. Well,
That's just me.
I don't know.
And they might be announcing more stuff soon.
There's still going to be people who complain either way.
We'll see. I think they said on April 4th, maybe. I don't know. They said tune in on April 4th. I don't know if that means
They said tune in on April 3rd.
April
which is
3rd.
when
April 3rd.
the remaster comes out.
Yeah, so maybe they're gonna do something
Maybe they'll
more.
play it then, have their own conference. You know what? We hate PAX.
Yeah.
This is live from Gearbox Studios.
Yeah, they dissed PAX at one point. It was nuts.
Yeah. They're like, God, this is why you bring your own technology.
Exactly.
Randy is savage. Randy Savage.
Randy Savage.
Well,
and Josh is also Savage. And yeah, I'm excited, man.
I'm very
I'm
excited.
happy you were on. I'm glad you were on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great
Yeah.
having you on, buddy.
Yeah. You made me lose my train of thought.
Good. That's what I'm trying to do.
How dare you?
Call him who's that character in Gears? Coltrane? Is that what he calls himself?
Yeah.
Coltrane? Yeah, there we go.
Coltrane,
The
baby.
Coltrane of thought. There we go.
Oh, I love Coltrane.
So yeah, guys, now we're going to take a bit of a break, and at 11, Natalie Weiner is going to be calling in, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And Josh, thank you for coming on the show, man.
Yep, the Coltrane runs on whole grain, baby.
I remember that line. I remember that too. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember the part where he's all like reminiscing about his football days, like he was like a football star.
Yeah, and he
that's
has
the thing before the that kind of
there's one
stinks.
part in the game where he's reminiscing. But
Yeah.
he's in his old stadium.
Yeah.
But instead of with the ball, he has a bomb. And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
trying to get it to destroy like the enemy core.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, I used to do this spin move, and then you
Yeah.
just see him elbowing a monster.
Yeah.
That was a good level.
But yeah, guys, thanks Josh for coming on. Borderlands, really excited for Borderlands Remaster coming out this April, Wednesday, whatever it is, Wednesday.
Yep, stay tuned for the WMSC Let's Play.
Yeah, stay tuned for the WMSC Let's Play.
I'm organizing it.
For sure. I'll catch you online, perhaps. We're taking a quick break, guys. And like I said, tune in at 11 for Natalie Weiner. Listen to 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair. 0.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair. Just past the top of the hour here. And, you know, every week when I tweet out my show, one of the things I do is, you know, I put out a GIF, perhaps. And usually what I try to do when I have a special guest on is I try to have a GIF that kind of represents them and whatnot. But this week, I have to say, it was a little bit hard to do because my guest this week is a staff writer for SB Nation, and also has done previously work at Bleacher Report, and also writes about music for numerous publications like Billboard and Pitchfork. And that is Natalie Weiner, ladies and gentlemen, who is on the line right now.
Hey, how's it going?
Going really good. How's it going?
It's good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. It was really exciting when I got when I heard back from you. What was I going to say? So I don't know where to start exactly. Do you have any experience with college radio? Do you have any? Were you part of a radio station in college or anything like that?
I wasn't, and it's one of my only regrets about my time in college. I went to Columbia,
right.
And obviously WKCR is a huge deal, and I have a ton of friends who did it, but for some reason, when I was just starting out, and I they have the activity fair or whatever, and you
right.
go around and you sort of think about what extracurricular things you might do. I just found the radio people super intimidating, and I don't know, I was too scared to try and do it. And it is because it's such an established station, there's kind of a process for getting involved, it's
right.
It's kind of a big deal, but I could have definitely done it, and it's one of my main regrets, because now I still listen to WKCR and I'm why didn't I just do this? It would have been so fun. But yeah.
Right, that's cool. I hope that this is at least somewhat of a makeup for that. I don't know, maybe just a little bit, just being featured out here. That's really great. So I first came across your work about, I don't know, a year and a half ago. Probably a little bit longer than that. Time flies. Because I'm a big fan of Shea Serrano, who did a basketball book. And I remember you guys, I followed you after that because you had an interaction where you talked about women's basketball and stuff like that. And at first, I don't want to say I was turned off by that. That's not the right phrase to say, but I was just surprised. And then I realized that you made a lot of good points. So I started following you from there. And I really have to say that you have a very interesting career arc, I should say. If I'm not, of course, correct me if I'm wrong on anything I say, but you went to journalism school at Columbia University, but you dropped out of that. What was that journey like? Because I know you write about sports. I know you're a big Seattle fan for Seattle sports, and also you're a big music fan. But how does that come about? How do you go from being at Bleacher Report and then Billboard and then SB Nation? How does that work out?
Well, I mean, music was always my thing. Actually, the sports stuff came later. My entire life, I played piano, I played bass, starting in middle school, and that was kind of how I got into jazz. Just it's a whole sort of long story. But basically, I was always a music person. I never really watched sports in any sort of regular way. I just sort of, I don't know. It was that jock nerd binary thing, and I was
right.
I'm a nerd. I don't care about sports, whatever. And I went to Columbia. I thought I was going to become a music teacher. So I studied music, and I thought I was going to do music and psychology, and then I wound up double majoring in music and American studies. And sort of over the course of my time there, I was oh, people get paid to write about music. Obviously, I knew this was a thing intellectually, but it never really computed that was an option for me.
Right.
I was oh, this is a career I could actually pursue. Sort of over the American studies courses that I took, I was oh, we're reading a lot of criticism, and I could be a critic. And so after that, I was well, how do you become a writer? I was I guess I'll go to journalism school. So I started at Columbia Journalism School in their master's program, and it just didn't really seem well suited to what I wanted to do. A lot of focus on hard news and stuff, which is important, but like if I wanted to be a music writer, it was just not, it felt like sort of a lot of unnecessary work and expense to do something where this wasn't necessarily going to be applicable.
Right.
So I quit that and I just started like writing for free while I was bartending. Funnily enough, the first site I wrote for was a Caribbean music site called largeup.com, and I knew nothing about Caribbean music, like literally just nothing at all. But they were like, oh, you can like write, reasonably coherently and you'll write for free. So sure, whatever. So that was like my first sort of regular writing gig, and that led to my first paid freelance assignment, again, about Caribbean music. Not a thing I ever could have anticipated in my life, but
right.
now I love it. But yeah, and so then kept doing that for a little while, and I had other jobs the whole time, obviously. And then I got an internship at Billboard. That was full-time, and eventually they hired me to be on staff as an associate editor at the magazine. And that was awesome. That was like my first real journalism job, and was there like with the internship and editor job combined. I was there for like 2 years, and one of my colleagues and I were both really big sports fans, so we would sort of do like music and sports stuff, because I had gotten into sports sort of after I graduated from college, just because that was when the Seahawks were getting good.
That's yes, yes, for sure.
Like, I realized sort of, gauche in the sports world, but whatever. That's the way that it happened for me. And, and so we were doing sports and music stuff. I got recruited by Bleacher Report, and the rest is kind of history. And then I was at Bleacher Report. It was just an opportunity, basically, to be a writer full-time instead of being an editor at Billboard and then writing on my own time, more or less. Because what I really wanted to do was be a writer and not, like, become editor-in-chief of the magazine, if that makes sense.
Right. I understand that. And trust me, I get the whole sports thing and coming at the same time. My favorite team is the Chargers. And when I was younger, kind of like you mentioned, the jock nerd binary, I was just kind of the outcast kid. And I decided in my middle school, every kid in my class, which is like 25 people because I went to a private school and it was really small. And it was like, if you liked basketball, you were cool. If you didn't, then that's it. If you like sports, you were cool. That was it. So I was like weird because I dared like video games and stuff like that. And so almost out of survival instinct, I kind of decided to just start getting into football. And I naturally, of course, just loved it. And I decided I don't like these kids. They're mean to me. I don't want to be a Giants fan or Jets fan. So I said, I like that logo. And that was it. So I kind of just ran with it. And I've just stuck with it since then for better and for worse. What are some of your favorite topics, do you think, to cover in sports? Because I know that you were just recently covering the women's basketball tournament. What was that like? What was that experience like?
I'm actually in Portland still right now, just getting ready to leave because I was at the regional all weekend. And I mean, I really love covering women's sports. And again, that's not a thing that I ever would have anticipated. But basically, once I started at Bleacher Report, it was like an awakening, just because I was like, oh, women play sports, and I've just never really taken it seriously. Like, I think like most people, because it's so, there's just not a lot of visibility. It doesn't get covered in a mainstream way, so you just sort of assume that like it's not important. But once I started at Bleacher Report, I was like, we should be writing about this. There's no reason this shouldn't be like central to what we do, because it's fascinating and these women are great. And like, I think women's basketball in particular is interesting to me because, one, it's like the largest women's professional sport in America, so there's sort of that infrastructure already there, and at the college level it's pretty established. But also just the sport itself, I think, is particularly transgressive for women to participate in a weird way. Like, because if you play soccer, for example, like, you can play soccer at a really high level and still sort of look the way that people expect women to look, I know
what you mean. Yeah, okay.
Be societally deemed attractive and play soccer. And it's the same thing with basketball, obviously. There are plenty of beautiful women playing every kind of sport. But like, basketball requires height, it requires strength, it's really physical. You sort of, in order to play it well, you have to sort of have a lot of traits that aren't really necessarily deemed valuable for women in other contexts, but in basketball, they are, so it sort of creates a different metric for success. And I think that's really cool. One that is in no way related to how men see you. And it's really inspiring to me to watch all of these women play. And just because they're great at what they do and it's fun to watch, period, but also because they're sort of challenging these societal norms without really even making a thing about it. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like, they don't care. That's not why they're doing it. They're doing it because they love basketball. But, like, in the process, they're sort of really challenging a lot of the status quo, and I think it's so cool, and I find it really brave, even though a lot of times it's like I think unconscious on their part. Like, they still have to deal with all of the sexism that they get as a result, and they do mostly like very gracefully and well, and they let it roll off their back. But to me, it just seems impossibly hard. And so watching them, like this weekend, it's just, I don't know. I find it super inspiring and beautiful and amazing, and like that's why I tweet about it so much, because I genuinely care. It's not a cause or a, you know what I mean? It's not for
I know what you're saying.
To do for effect. It's like I really, really like. It makes me emotional, like, to watch them. I'm like, this is so cool. And like, football is my other thing, which is obviously kind of the polar opposite. But like, I love football for a whole host of different reasons. But yeah, as far as like topics I like to cover in sports, it's really like NFL football and women's sports, just because I find those are both sort of very interesting microcosms of like sports and society, and sort of how, because most of my writing kind of has to do with like culture and politics in sports, not so much necessarily like the sport itself.
Which is what I think you do so well, actually. I really appreciate it. And it's really helped given me personally a different view on these things. I'm not going to like lie. Like, I'm not fully, aware of everything that happens in both WNBA and women's basketball in college. And, for this year is a good example. I've finally did a women's bracket actually this year. I actually have Baylor winning it all. So I'm happy about that. They're doing pretty good. And what do you think, though? You mentioned that you talk about this a lot on Twitter, and you're very vocal about this, especially, like the discrepancies between men and women's sports. What do you think are some of like the negative like stereotypes that people don't talk about enough? Because I think people don't realize that it's still, there's still a lot of, how do I say this? There's like a casualness about making fun of women's sports, if that makes any sense. That's what I've noticed. And just as someone, I think basketball is my favorite sport at this point. And for me, I kind of decided I want to try and get more into women's basketball. And of course, it's taking time. I'm still nowhere there. But to me, it's just more basketball. I like that sport, like the end kind of. So what do you think are some things that people don't realize about that? Maybe they're not like me and they don't realize, what things people don't know how to talk about women's basketball sometimes the right way, and they don't realize that there are assumptions being made there.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a right or a wrong way, as long as we're not being like openly sexist. But like, I think it's sort of, I don't know, it makes me really sad, because I think there's a really long history of, like you're saying, people denigrating women's sports like in a very casual way, like in a way that you just assume like, oh, this is worse because it's women. Like, that's like so ingrained. Just even for me, it was a realization that I had, like, because I did marching band at Columbia. That was what I did instead of radio.
Right.
And
still cool.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's not cool at all, but it was fun. And it actually like helped me get into sports, because I hadn't been before. But so we did the men's and women's basketball games. And even, at Columbia, like an Ivy League institution full of people who are allegedly like thoughtful and progressive, like the operating assumption was still like women's basketball is worse. And I look back on that and I was like, wait, like why, how is that real? Like why is this a thing? And I realized I had just been kind of taking that for granted, that people said that to me, and I was like, oh, okay, like they know more than I do, but it's really like, there have been so many columnists and sports writers who are mostly men, but sometimes women, who, spent the first 20 years of the WNBA's existence, just using it as a punchline, you know?
Right.
And I think we saw that even recently, like this SNL skit that they did about like gold diggers of the WNBA. And I wrote about
well, this is what you wrote about. That's why I tagged you on yesterday, yeah.
Right. And it's like, you know, I understand where they were trying to go with the sketch, which was not like a terrible idea, but the way that it was executed just like relied on all of these like terrible retrograde assumptions about how like every woman who plays basketball is lesbian, like seems like a man, you know, like kind of just these stereotypes that are like really awful and just not, you know, obviously not true. Like no stereotype is true, but it's like it's really harmful because it drives home the idea that women who play sports are somehow like different, you know, or like outliers, you know. It just reinforces their sort of transgressiveness, which, as I said, is I think like overall I think it's good that they push societal norms, but when we take these cliches that sort of say like, oh, this is not normal, you know, I don't, because it's obviously not painting a full picture of the kind of women who do play basketball, which are fully, you know, diverse and awesome, a really diverse group.
Yeah. I think one mistake I notice, I'm kind of personally tired. I think one of the errors that people make is, I don't know why it's always we have to compare both men and women's basketball. I think that's a mistake. I think that it's just men and women's basketball. Like, I don't know how to phrase that properly. I just think that that's kind of an unfortunate thing that happens. So just to kind of transition to outside of this, because I do want to talk to you. I don't have you for super long. I wanted to talk to you about some of your music writing.
Sure.
And speaking of some other people, I know that you did the Billboard's Women of the Year on Ariana Grande. Now, that's like obviously kind of a name drop for sure. Like arguably like one of the biggest pop stars we have and just one of the biggest musical artists we have right now. For sure. What is like, how do you get there? Because I know like, you know, aspiring journalists, they don't immediately, they think about, wow, like interviewing Ariana Grande, but maybe they don't understand how you get there. And what is it like, how do you even prepare for that when you're working with someone of such a high level?
Well, how I get there, I mean, I already like had relationships with people at Billboard because I had worked there. And it's the sort of thing where normally staff writers, like people on staff, don't write cover stories. They usually get freelancers. So in a weird way, I actually had a better chance to write a cover after I left than I did while I was on staff.
Right.
But, you know, obviously I had connections with editors there. I had done something previously with Casey Musgraves that wasn't initially going to be a cover, but then it turned out to be a cover. So there was sort of some precedent. And just the editor I know there, he knew that I liked Ariana Grande, I'm pretty sure. And they had another writer in mind first, but that writer bailed. He was like, would you hypothetically be available for this? Maybe. And I was like, I'll be backup. I don't care. You know, like, I love Ariana Grande, and like, obviously it's an enormous opportunity. So the other writer wasn't able to do it, and so I got the chance to do it. And yeah, it's definitely like sort of a marquee story for me, like no question about that. Definitely the biggest story I've ever done. And as far as preparation, I mean, it was hard. I basically just watched I watched and read every single interview and profile of her I could find. I mean, that's like basically what the preparation is. And so, because you obviously don't want to ask somebody a question that they've been asked a million times before, or if you do, you want to anticipate, you know, the way they're going to answer.
Right. Hopefully I haven't done that too much today.
No. And I had like 3 pages of questions, and I tried to like memorize them kind of, but it was, and like develop a flow for how I thought the conversation would go, because obviously I wanted to touch on some topics that were really sensitive, and I didn't know how she would react, so I had to figure out how am I going to approach these things, and then she really couldn't talk about any of them, but like, it was a huge ordeal, and writing the story itself was also very hard, just because it was like so emotional, and I was trying to like have the right tone where I'm not being dishonest, but also not like overly negative,
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't. She's the woman of the year, and also I didn't want to be because I like her,
Mm-hmm.
and I think overall she's like doing more good than bad,
Right.
So yeah, but it was tough, but I'm like now, I have that in my portfolio, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is some like basic advice that you would give to people who are aspiring to maybe be in a position like you are?
I mean, really, I think like everybody says network, which is like, okay, real, like obviously you have to know people to get work, like that's
Right.
a basic thing. But also for me, I think one of the things that's helped me be able to have work that stands apart is pursuing projects that I'm really passionate about. Like even starting in journalism, you're going to have to write about stuff you don't care about. Like that's just a given. But
Mm-hmm.
as long as you have like a story or two that you're working on that you're like, this is something that I think is really fascinating and cool and like, a passion project. Like as long as you have that kind of stuff that you're working on and, completing that kind of thing with some frequency, I think that's what you need to stand apart. And also that like helps you keep going just for yourself. Cause like if you're not working on anything you care about, it's easy to get kind of burned out, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I've noticed for you, like a passion project, not to suggest that what you're working on currently isn't something that you enjoy, because I know you do. But like this 1959 project, I was
Yeah.
really curious about this. This was interesting. Can you tell people what that is?
Basically, so I'm a big jazz buff,
Mm-hmm.
and like I had this idea that I, thought of at Billboard just for different reasons, but the year 1959 is sort of one of the quote unquote best years in jazz according to critics, but obviously up for debate. There
course.
are a lot of great years in jazz, but 1959 is like kind of blooming. It's Giant Steps, Time Out by Dave Brubeck. There are all of these albums that are like very, very classic that are associated with that year. And I wanted to do a thing that sort of showed just how broad the reach of jazz was at that moment, and sort of how many people who we now view as like some of the best to ever do it were active during that time. So I put together a blog where I'm doing a post every single day about a thing that happened in 1959 in jazz, mostly in New York, but a few other places when it
Mm-hmm.
seemed important. But because for me, it's like the closest I can get to time traveling. Like I wish I had been alive then, so I could like go to all these shows and like be around these people, but I can't. So all I can do is like pretend,
Mm-hmm.
and like be like, well, 6 years ago this was happening, and these people were recording this song, and I can listen to the song, and I can be like, wow, like I don't know. It's very self-serving,
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of stuff that I like reading about anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. Another piece that you wrote about that I was a big fan of was when you wrote about Green Book, the controversial movie that was met this year, that won Best Picture at the Oscars this year. I really recommend everyone checking that out too, where you basically wrote about like what it was about during that era. I haven't actually seen the movie personally. I've just been told.
Well, you're not missing much.
Yeah, I've been told that, and that it follows a certain theme that Hollywood sometimes
Right.
falls into when it comes to real life stories featuring famous minority type of characters or black people, like in this case Don Shirley. I think that that was a really interesting piece that I recommend everyone checking out. Now, one of the last things I wanted to ask you is, I saw you mentioned somewhere that I was actually surprised by this when I was doing my research of my own, that you mentioned that you liked, or that you found that sports internet was nicer than the music internet. I was a little bit surprised by that. I would think, just what we talked about earlier with women's basketball, that it would be harsher per se. Do you still feel that way, or am I not reading that the correct way? And why?
I don't remember why exactly I said that, but I still think it is mostly true. Just nicer, not necessarily like, well, okay, two things.
Okay.
Sports internet, I feel like people, just like other media members, are generally more friendly, like with some exceptions. But I just felt sort of more embraced by sports internet than by music internet, if that makes sense. Like, I have more like sports Twitter friends than music Twitter friends, just because I think like music critics are kind of, I don't know, a lot of them are sort of snobby, and
Right.
you know, there's like this whole attitude about whatever. I don't know. People just there's like somehow even more snark than there is on sports.
I think I know what
If
you
that
mean
makes
too.
sense.
Sometimes with movies, they're the same thing too.
Right. Sort of a lot of like faux intellectual, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as fans, even like, yes, there are deranged sports fans. Most of them read Barstool. Most of them root for Boston. But like,
I approve this message.
right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not even controversial. Like, if anybody says otherwise, they don't know what they're talking about. But like, music fans, the fan army thing is like really crazy, you know. And like, I wrote, anytime you write about somebody who like has a massive following, you're basically begging to like be destroyed, you know. And that was honestly the thing that I was terrified about with the Ariana Grande piece.
Right.
Is like, because she has like crazy in a great way, if any of them are listening, fans, you know, who are like so devoted and know everything about everything she's ever done. So like, when I wrote the piece, I was like, you know, going through it with a fine-tooth comb, like, what is anything that they could like pick out as being bad or wrong, or, you know. It's like terrifying because they will like find your house and like Photoshop your face on stuff. Like, this has happened to me with like Nicki Minaj's fans, like when I wrote about her, when I was still Billboard. It's like a different level. And like, yes, sports fans are also bad, and it's mostly more like Barstool people. I feel like 90% of sports fans are not completely insane.
Right.
And I mean, a lot of them are a lot, but they're not going to go and like find your house and like track you down. And that's kind of like where the fan army stuff comes in. So yeah, it's just, there's more extremes, I guess, on music internet somehow.
For sure, I understand that. That's a really good observation there, for sure. Thankfully, I'm just a New York guy and LA Chargers guy, but whatever. That's a whole nother story. Natalie, that we're at 11:30 now. Kept you a little bit longer than initially planned, but thank you so much for coming on. It was a lot of fun talking to you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. And yeah, everybody, if you want to check out any more of her work, like I said, she's a staff writer at SB Nation and other places for music, Billboard, Pitchfork, everywhere. Just whatever you want to, if you want to plug anything, lastly, go ahead.
I mean, I'm going to be at the Women's Final Four this weekend, so I will be tweeting and writing from there. Trying to think if there is anything else. I just did an oral history of Barnyard Sick of Time that I spent a really long time on. And I think that was, you know, that's the labor of love thing.
Right.
But I got to talk to Bonnie, which was like a bucket list. So,
right.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins between Oregon and Baylor?
It's a tough call. I mean, Oregon looked so good yesterday, and they really didn't look that way on Friday. So it's like, it's tricky to predict. I think Baylor overall has more sort of at their disposal, and like, but the fact that Oregon was able to shut down Tierra speaks to their potential ability to shut down Kalani Brown, who is also 6'7". You know?
Right.
So, even though they don't have the size matchup there necessarily, like the fact that they were still able to contain her, I think should make Baylor scared.
Well said. I can't wait to see how it goes. I'm at 60% of my bracket right now. Doing okay for my first time, I think. But yeah, like I said, thanks so much for coming on the show, Natalie. Really appreciate your work, and keep up the good work, I guess.
Thanks so much.
All right. See you around.
Bye.
Bye. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Natalie Weiner of SB Nation. That was a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of hers. Talked about music and women's basketball and other sports-related topics. Definitely one of my favorite moments I've done on the show for sure. It was a blast. But now, running a little bit late on what I promised was the Supervillain draft. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and when we get back, we're going to get right into that. And it's going to be a doozy. Believe me, folks, it's going to be a doozy. So stay tuned. You're listening to 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair. Always fun to be on, huh? Are you sure? Are you sure it's fun to be on?
Most of the time.
Most of the time? And also, the legend, Mr. John Ostrowsky.
How's it going, man? Happy to be on.
Happy to have you, sir. And for the first time ever, Mr. Chris Beeck.
Hey.
He's never been on the show before. Making his debut. Long-awaited debut, I would say. We talked about this over the break, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I totally forgot to do it, and then I remembered. So I'm really happy about that.
Good to be here.
Since it's your first time, you can introduce yourself, say whatever you want about yourself, say nothing, whatever you want. Go for it, Beek.
Hey, Chris Beeck, known Javi since high school, known Cav since high school, known John since high school. Just happy to be here.
I think I've known you for longer, though, because of baseball. Or at least I saw you,
God.
Right? Yeah.
Completely forgot about that. That's a real throwback.
Yeah, shout out Dominic Gargano. So everybody, if you don't follow me on the socials, what we're doing is the Supervillain Fantasy Draft. Last semester, John and Noah, who couldn't be here, we did the superhero draft. And what this basically is, it's a fantasy draft, and we're trying to assemble the best team that will win a battle per se. And you try and finesse your way into every pick and talk yourself into every pick, which is what I was really good at, I must say, picking Chris Evans with two different roles last time. I definitely won, I'd say. Or at least I don't think I definitely won, but it was definitely between me and John. I would say that much. Noah blew it. Like, I looked at his team the other day. It was just an absolute disaster. So this time, we're doing supervillains. Now, for those who aren't familiar, this version, what we're doing is the movie versions of characters. So there's a distinction there. It's not bringing in the comics, and it's different just because the movies are a little bit more mainstream for people to get behind, a little bit easier for people to follow. And that can change the rankings of certain people. Lex Luthor, for example, in the comics, probably like a top 5-ish pick. You know what I mean? Movie versions, maybe not so much. So you're going to be able to think about that, and you have to pick each character. Each character can only be picked once, meaning you cannot pick the Joker, for example, from Suicide Squad and also pick the Joker from The Dark Knight. Just picking the character, you choose which version. If there are multiple versions, and that counts as a pick, and then they're off the board. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, I'm with it.
Let's go.
All right, cool. So the draft order was based on who reacted to my tweets and whatnot first. So the first one up is Mr. Christopher Beeck, then John, then Cav, and then myself as the host.
All right.
So go for it, Beeck.
I guess I'm up.
Yeah, you are up, sir, with the first pick of the 2019 Supervillain Digital Dash Fantasy Draft. That was a mouthful, but whatever.
This is tough. You know, I've really gotten to know the villains here. Had them in the draft room. Got them to know know them individually. I wish I had like a John Gruden quarterback camp type thing to really get them to know them. But you know, you get what you get.
They have great families.
Yeah, exactly. They really believe in what they're doing here. I really think I gotta go with Ego from Guardians 2 as the first pick.
Wow.
As the first pick.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting pick.
Very befitting of Beek, because as everyone knows, Beek has a huge ego.
Oh yeah. Exactly. That was my thinking. You just know me too well, Javi.
It's like the complete antithesis of what Beek is. Like, it's just absolutely the biggest ego here is probably Cav.
All right.
Anyway, so Beek with the first pick, Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He's a whole planet.
Yeah,
not too bad.
How can you go wrong?
How could you go wrong?
He's a bioverse. Like, come on.
Yeah, he is.
I like the pick
too. It's a smart pick. Maybe not the most popular of the bunch out there, but it's definitely a smart pick. All right, so next up is John.
So I've switched up my strategy a couple times going into this, but with this second pick, this guy is hilarious. He's just the life of the party. So I'm going to go with the Joker.
The Joker?
Oh, from The Dark Knight.
Oh, the Joker. Interesting. Joker from The Dark Knight. Interesting pick.
I was going to go best player available, but
okay.
I had to go with the guy that entertains me the most.
All right.
Joker.
I'm shocked by that pick. I'm shocked. Could this be the Noah mistake that Noah made last time? I don't know, folks. But who knows? You never underestimate the Joker. All right.
Yeah, the Joker was definitely high on my draft board. Definitely had him up there. He was actually number 2 on my draft board, second to Thanos. I mean, you cannot go wrong with Thanos. I had him ranked number 1 overall. Happy to get him at number 3. It's very tough guy to bring down. Powerful.
I think that pick is going to look a lot worse in a month.
Ooh.
Well, you know what?
Oh man.
We haven't seen it yet. You got to base it on his track record. Can't base it on what future performance. But I think Thanos was by far and away the best player in this draft, and happy to get him at number 3.
Okay, so that's fair. It's a solid pick. He does have the Infinity Gauntlet. He is pretty strong. He's quite tactical, I'd say. He's smart. He's got his brains. He's got a little bit of that. And he's very intimidating. Strong. Very strong. He beats up the Hulk 2 minutes into the movie. Spoiler alert. For anybody who hasn't seen Avengers Infinity War. So not a bad pick by Cav there, but I'm going to make a better one, ladies and gentlemen. I have back-to-back picks. So I tricked these fools into thinking that they had the upper hand, but no. I have back-to-back picks now. So my first pick...
It's crazy that none of us knew how the snake draft works.
Shut up. Stop it. My first pick is going to be Magneto from X-Men Apocalypse. He is one of the great villains ever, and I like having people who are passionate. He's in, you know what I mean? He's controlling basically all of the Earth in X-Men Apocalypse, for those who didn't see that hit movie. And, you know, he's unlocked the full potentials of his powers, all metal. Maybe he can control that Infinity Gauntlet. I don't know. We don't really have... There's no way we could tell if he could be doing that, but I'm going to pretend he can. So take that, Cav. And also, who did Beak pick? Ego? Okay, Ego might be a problem. But still, I stand by the pick. That is my first pick. And my next pick, this one's tough. Because there's some folks here in the top on the board that are interesting for sure. But I also want to have fun with it. And I want to take Hela from Thor Ragnarok with my next pick. And the reason why is because she basically doesn't lose a fight in that movie. And the only reason she loses is because of these other extenuating circumstances that I, for some reason, don't feel like spoiling right now. So I'm going to take her. I think she's got the ferocity, I should say, and just the whole skill needed, necessary to win this battle and vanquish your teams. So that's who I'm taking with my second pick. And that leads us past the first round and now into the second round. And now that leaves us to Cav with his next pick.
Yeah, so Hela was number 3 on my board after the Joker, so I think that was a good value pick. But I think someone who was underrated on the character list that you gave out.
Okay.
This guy, very powerful, multiple movies, never seems to take no for an answer and goes away. Loki. I think that...
From which movie? Yeah. From which movie?
Oh, you got to pick a movie? I thought it was just the general...
No, what? No.
You got to pick which version, dude.
See, this is why Cav loses everything, guys. I beat him in fantasy baseball every year. He doesn't pay attention.
I'll go with the original Thor. Thor 1, 2011 Thor.
Really? Interesting pick. Interesting pick. He doesn't have an army at his disposal. He also doesn't have the Tesseract, but okay, fine. I like taking inferior versions of characters too. It's fine.
Listen, he's laying the groundwork. He knows how to get things done, and he's very powerful, very strong, very smart.
Right.
Happy to get him in the second round.
Very good.
Okay, interesting.
All right. So am I up then?
Yeah, you are up, sir.
Sweet. All right, trust me, I don't like myself either for this pick because I don't even like this movie that much, but I think I need some firepower after taking the Joker, so I'm going to go with Ultron.
Okay.
Ooh.
Ultron from Avengers Age of Ultron, one of the movies that I do not like out of all the Marvel movies for sure.
One of the few, yeah.
Yeah, one of the few.
I agree.
Kind of a mess of a movie, but the character is very strong. He's controlling basically all of the internet, if I'm not mistaken. Cav, you'll remember this the most out of all of us because we rewatched these movies like 100 times. And he just controls everything. He knows everything. Never underestimate AI. They basically just by default know everything. So a frisky pick.
And I get James Spader.
And you get James Spader, which is perhaps the most important thing.
True. That's true.
Cav's a big fan of James Spader.
Huge fan.
Okay, so that takes Ultron off the board. And next up, Mr. Chris Beeck with back-to-back picks.
All right. Back-to-back picks, and to end the second round, I think I'm gonna go with Sebastian Shaw.
Ooh.
For X-Men. That was a good movie.
Good pick.
He's a mastermind. He knows what he's doing. Got to go with it. And then for the second I'm gonna go with Ronan
Ooh.
from Guardians because
Interesting.
he's got the Infinity Stone in this, or at least I'm assuming he does. Took down all the Guardians and an entire planet's army to
Pretty
stop
much.
him. Yeah, come on.
Now, my counter with that would be is that he gets distracted easily. He got distracted by a dance-off. So perhaps Ronan isn't the smartest in the world when the going gets tough. Perhaps.
Hey.
That would be my argument.
No one's perfect here.
No one's perfect here. That is true. And the Sebastian Shaw pick basically is controlling energy, I think. Yes, he controls energy in that movie. Cav, I know you're a big fan of this movie. So I know you're really hoping to pick him.
I've definitely seen at least one X-Man movie. X-Men.
You said X-Man. That's when you know.
I did.
So, by the way, guys, can you cross out on the little doc that we're looking at when you pick somebody? It's just easier for me. Just put the strike through.
Oh, yeah.
It's just easier.
I got you.
So now that takes who's next? So now John, with your next pick, a lot of characters flying off the board, ladies and gentlemen. This is getting crazy.
I'm going to take a guy who might be the coolest guy in the draft.
Ooh.
Eric Killmonger.
Ooh.
He is going to develop some great chemistry with the Joker. They both love to burn stuff. They both
They
want to
do.
burn it all,
They
so
do. That's
I'm
true.
excited.
I'm going to burn it all. Whatever Michael B. Jordan says. That's a great point. They do both like to burn stuff. John just taking a lot of firepower. Gun firepower, perhaps, from the Joker. And just insanity firepower. And then he's got...
And just acting firepower.
There you go.
James Spader.
Oh, man. Yeah. John, interesting strategy. John's basing... He's going performance.
Creating
A lot of
theater
performance.
Group.
Yeah, he is. If anything, John definitely might win the fan vote for most likable team out of all of us. We'll see what happens, though.
I mean, even villains need a way to wind out at the end of the night. So maybe a nice theater group after a day of destruction would be good.
Fair.
We'll
All right. So next up is Mr. Mike Cavalier with his pick.
So I think I'm reaching for him a little early, but there's not many names I recognize. So I'm going to go with Bane. This is
because you just saw the movie 5 minutes ago.
This is a little bit of a recency bias, probably, but I mean, this man was able to go toe to toe with Batman, just absolutely break Batman's back.
It's true. He did. Spoiler.
He's got his own army. He's got his own certain way of going about things, and he pretty much destroys an entire city.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great leader.
Great leader, exactly. And you got to be careful with personalities when it comes into teams. But I think that he will be able to lead this team, and
you're taking a leader. You're taking a leader.
Exactly.
You're taking a leader.
And
Willpower is
workouts.
important. Okay, interesting.
And he's strong. Was able to take many hits. So I'm happy with this pick. Maybe a little earlier than I would have liked, but it's good.
Interesting pick. I respect it. It's obviously recency bias. Literally, I'm not kidding, guys. Cav said he finished watching this movie like 15 minutes ago.
I was actually
there we go, Cav.
I was going to watch it last night, but then I learned that it's 2 hours and 45 minutes, so I put it off till this morning.
Oh man, this is just great. Also, quick shout out to Kayla Marcado and Rada Varma, who I believe are listening to the show, and they wanted a shout out. So there you go. Leave me alone now. Next for my next pick. I don't love this one. I don't love the pick. I don't love the movie. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I think it had a lot of potential, and perhaps the trailer set my expectations too high. That could be it. You might know where I'm going with this. I'm going to take General Zod from Man of Steel, who essentially is a Superman equivalent. Now, I would say that his movie version, there are some counters, basically gets kind of dogged pretty quickly, but bottom line is he's going toe-to-toe with Superman. That's the bottom line, though. I'm going with that. You know what I mean? Maybe not the best finish from General Zod here. I know he's probably a lot higher if we were going by comic book stuff, but I'm just going to take the guy that fought Superman. That's what I'm going to do. So General Zod from Man of Steel. Let me put that. All right. And then with my next pick, this is a tough one too, but I'm also going to take an evil version of a character. Again, basically an evil version. I'm going to take X-24 from Logan with my next pick. Spoiler alert, for those who haven't seen Logan. Basically, there's this clone thing of Wolverine that heals super fast and is super vicious and very violent. And he's quite strong. He lifts a truck at one point and just pushes it off. So I'm going to take basically the full what it would look like if Wolverine was a bad guy, essentially. I'm going to take X-24 with my next pick. Love that movie. And it's quite vicious. And you know what? I need some power. And I think the personalities on my team can deal with him, especially since I have Magneto. You know? Because I know John right now is about to be like, well, he was uncontrollable and stuff. Well, that's why I have Magneto, just in case, to control the metal. So take that, John. I know you were thinking it.
Who, X-24? No, I wanted him, dude.
Oh, really?
I'm pissed right now. Yeah.
There we go. That's my pick. And then next up is Cav again. Let's see how he's going to mess it up.
Logan was that horror movie we saw, right?
Yeah, the horror movie. That's exactly right. For those who don't know, Cav and we went to, I think, John, you were home at this point, but you and Tommy went to go see Get Out. And Cav decided he just didn't want to watch a horror movie. So I was like, all right, let's go see Logan. And there's a farm scene in that movie that basically turns everything into a horror movie. So Cav after the movie's like, wait, what? It's great. We also saw a child. We saw a child at that movie. Yeah, I would say, honestly, Get Out might have been, can I say, less scary than Logan? Is that possible? I don't know. I think it was scarier, but maybe not as, definitely not as gory, for sure. Yeah. That's for certain. But yeah, whatever. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was a movie.
That was a movie.
So here's this pick. Kind of off the beaten track, but I'm gonna go with Riot from Venom. I think that the problem with Riot in this movie was his choice of human to I don't know, whatever, become one with. I think if he finds a stronger body, maybe someone of the Eddie Brock type, there's a certain symbiosis that Riot needs to attach with, and I think that if he finds that right person, it's over. I mean, you have someone who could create, who can heal, who can create weapons out of their own matter, and take down entire rocket ships. I think that with the right vessel, this is a really strong character who can do a lot of damage.
And also just because you love that movie, both you and me love that movie to death. So I knew that you were going to get Venom from Spider-Man 3 or Riot. I knew you were, but I knew you would probably pick Riot over it too. Because Venom is basically a good guy in that movie, so it doesn't count as much. But yeah, interesting pick by Cav. Clearly he's going by just movies he likes and has watched before. Interesting strategy. We'll see if it works out for him. Next up, again, Mr. John, who's had some really interesting picks, let me tell you.
Okay, so this, I'm just going to be straight up. This pick is directly to attack Cav's team specifically. So he took Thanos, so I'm going to take Thanos' right-hand man, Ebony Maw.
Oh,
he knows Thanos better than anybody.
Right.
He's going to take him out himself.
Very good pick. Ebony Maw kind of gets cheated. His death is kind of like a quick, he just wasn't expecting it.
It's anticlimactic.
Yeah, anticlimactic. Somewhat funny when you see him drifting off into space. He's just frozen. It's kind of like unintentionally funny when they just cut to him. It's like they should have left it. They didn't need to show that. Like, we get it. All right, he's gone. But it's just kind of funny. Like, all right, anyway. But yeah, that guy's basically just controlling stuff with his mind and, what is that called? Telekinesis related stuff. Almost like a Jean Grey type. And he's a fighter, man. He's a hitter. He's a hitter for sure. I like that pick. Almost in the top tier for me when I was doing these rankings.
He's close.
But I determined, bottom line is he did die by a Spider-Man doing a reference from Alien, so I had to demote him a little bit. Just for that. Maybe he'll be back in Endgame. Who knows? Maybe his ranking goes up after that. We don't know, but most likely not, just based on nothing, but that's just my theory. So, John, taking Ebony Maw off the board. We're running out of characters. No, we're not. I'm just kidding. We have way too many. This is going great. We're definitely probably going to go longer than the initial amount that I expected. But yeah, next up now is Mr. Chris Beeck with 2 picks.
All right. So I think I'm looking for some big old strength, some unadulterated just power. So I think I
Right.
got to go with Abomination from the
Ooh.
Incredible Hulk.
Ooh.
That's exactly who I'm looking for. And
Ooh.
then, you can't have just power and all the brawn. You need some brain and a little bit of cunning. So I think I'm also going to go with Mystique.
Ooh.
Ooh, nice.
I like it. Which version of Mystique, may I ask?
I'm going to go with the Mystique in one of the earlier Jennifer Lawrence Mystiques. That's what I got to go for. And I think it's going to be the Days of Future Past one.
Right. Okay. I'll count that one.
You got to go for that one. Days of Futures Past.
For sure. All right, that's fair. I'll allow it. It's a solid pick, I must say. Let me just write this down here, and then he take Mystique. I'm really liking how this draft is going, guys. Nobody's just taking from the top, which is what Cav has been known to do whenever we do our fantasy drafts. So next up is John. As we're now in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th round, as we just passed the top of the hour here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, doing the Supervillain draft for those who just tuned in. John is up. 6th round. Here we go.
I'm going to take a page out of Cav's book. I recently watched Iron Man 2, so I'm going to take Whiplash.
Ooh.
Mickey Rourke.
I like the ooze.
He's an underrated pick.
He is an underrated pick.
He went toe-to-toe with Iron Man and, working out of basically a cave.
Yeah, basically a cave. Much like Tony Stark himself. He's using whips.
Exactly.
Interesting weapon of
Nice
choice
stuff. I
in the
like
world where guns exist, but whatever, I'll allow it. It's interesting
Just don't
tactic.
think about it.
It's really I love thinking about this guy who's so smart to build these things, but he's like, I'm gonna use whips. Not like a gun, not like
It's more efficient.
not like speed or anything no, I'm just gonna it's more efficient, that's right. John defending it. Oh man. But that takes us to Cav, who I'm sure is gonna have a great pick for us here. Definitely. Can't wait. He doesn't even know. Cav, you still there, bud? Did we lose him? Oh my gosh, I think we lost him.
My fault. Nope.
Oh no, he's still here.
I was muted just to prevent some of that background noise. But my pick, we all knew this was coming. He was at the top.
I see his thing over the character right now.
Top of my list from the moment that this idea came together. Have not seen this movie. I've not seen any of the original Spider-Man movies, actually. I probably have, but back when I was much younger and don't remember them. I'm going with Venom, and I'm going to let Javi defend this pick for me.
So here's the thing. This is definitely a weaker version than the movie featuring Tom Hardy. This version is played by Topher Grace for some reason. We still don't know why he played Venom in that movie. I don't really know why. But he did. And, yeah, it's a pick. It's definitely not the best version of Venom. And he's a little weird. He sounds strange. He sounds like a snake dying. I don't know. It's just not very, very well done. But, essentially look at it as you're taking an anti-Spider-Man. You could look at it that way, who has a little bit more strength than him in the movie, a little bit more ferocious. He doesn't display the healing that Venom does in the movie. So that is one negative about him. But he's still quite a fighter and should be at least somewhat useful. So it's not a terrible pick, but it would be better if Venom was a villain in his own movie, and then he would have counted. But hey, Cav had to stay on brand apparently, as usual.
Take what you can get.
Yeah. So with my next pick, man, this is tough. This is really tough, guys, because there's someone at the top of the tier list that's still available, and I'm thinking about picking them. I really am, and I don't want to though. It's not fun because I don't want to wipe you guys out that much. You know what I mean? I want to make this at least somewhat competitive. I think my only fear right now could be Beeck. Cav's just out of it. I think that's fair to say. Cav's out of it. And I'm going to go with my first pick, though. I'm going to take Sandman from Spider-Man 3. Basically just he's a Sandman, man. You can't really hurt him. He's a Sandman, man. Shout out Mariano Rivera. What I like about this
Wait,
pick
he
is
the dude who has like family issues.
yes, but not family issues. Everything he's doing is because he needs to steal money because he wants to pay for his daughter's, I think, cancer treatment is in the movie. So he's got motive. Nothing more motivating than family, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you.
His daughter's in the hospital.
Yeah, his daughter's in the hospital, and
You know who
he's trying
blows
to save
up
money.
hospitals?
Who? Oh no, I forgot about that. Too late now, but whatever. That's hilarious. I don't know if she was in the hospital though. To be fair, I know it's a technicality, but I think she was at home. But still, it's a fair counter. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Good pick though.
Thank you. And with my next pick, I don't want to have too many Spider-Man related people because people are going to get sick of me if I keep doing that. So I'm going to take some brains, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take Ozymandias from The Watchmen.
Ooh.
An
Ooh,
often,
very good pick.
I think, overly hated movie. It's not. I don't know. People are very love it or hate it. I don't know why. I thought it was good. I like the shooting of that movie, or how it's shot, I should say. And Ozymandias, this is kind of a spoiler. So whoever hasn't read the graphic novel, one of the most acclaimed graphic novels of all time, or watched the movie, sorry. He is basically no real powers, but he is smart on a level that makes him basically have powers. You know, almost like Lex Luthor-esque.
Interesting.
He's
So
basically
you just took somebody who has no powers.
Yes, but Cav, as you know, you're very experienced with having actual evidence to back things up. Just kidding, you don't. So here's the thing. This is how smart Ozymandias is. He's so smart that he can time the proper point to catch a bullet without harming himself. That's how smart this man is. You know? He fights actual people in this movie that know how to fight. And just like the beginning of the movie is him just kicking the crap out of the comedian and throwing him out of a window without even getting hurt at all. And the comedian's like this special forces guy. So I'm taking brains. I love the brains. He's going to come up with a plan to take down whatever possible threats I might have. You know? The only one who's going to be a problem for him to analyze is maybe the Joker. Because the Joker can't be analyzed. He's a madman. So we have to see what happens there. But yeah, that's my second pick of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't even know what round we're on. Whatever. Continuing on, I'm taking Ozymandias from Watchmen. And that leaves us now with Cav. Let's see how he's going to mess up this time, folks.
So, with this pick, I am going to go with the Winter Soldier.
Oh
Now,
gosh.
this is somebody who just falls in line, does what he's told. Can't have too many large personalities on the team. This is somebody who keeps his head down, does what he's told,
Right.
gets the work done. Very strong. He's got the vibranium arm, although I guess maybe not. And
You have to
has
take
the
him from
vibranium
Cap
arm
2. No, I think it becomes at an Infinity War, technically. But you have to take him from Cap 2 because that's when he's basically a villain.
Right. But either way, I'm very happy with this pick. Very follows orders, strong, gets the job done, doesn't ask questions. He's going to be good on the city. He fits him well.
Interesting pick. I wasn't expecting that. I thought you'd actually choose someone who's a little bit stronger, but it's okay. We'll see how that plays out. Maybe Cav's waiting. Maybe he's waiting on us, guys. I don't know. Maybe he studied more than he's letting on. That could be possible, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't think so.
Going out on a limb. I don't think so. All right. So next up, I believe, is John, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yes, it is John.
I'm actually a little surprised this guy that I'm about to take is still available. One of the better movies on the board. I'm going to take Juggernaut from Deadpool 2.
Interesting. I thought when you said better movie, I thought you were taking someone else, but okay. Juggernaut from Deadpool 2. Quite literally, his introduction is ripping Deadpool in half. So he is quite strong. No mercy. He's ready. It's basically like a slightly inferior Hulk. You know, that's how I feel like they portray him in that movie. Like a slightly weaker version of Hulk. In the comics, I know he's infinitely stronger and he's ridiculous. But there you go.
Yeah, I like him.
There you go. I did your analysis for you. That's what I do.
Thank you.
No problem, man. Cav's really my only enemy here, because he's always just talking stuff. He's always talking stuff. And here he is. Can we just take a look at Cav's team really quickly? So he takes Thanos. Yeah. All right, great. Then he takes Loki.
I win. That's it. No, that's the thing. Like, you don't understand. I took Thanos. I win.
All right, relax. This isn't like the Bill Belichick of this, okay? Just stop it, all right? Like, just stop. Just stop doing this, I win by default. No, there's a lot of dynamic personalities here. All right, if Spider-Man and Drax the Destroyer could help take down Thanos, I'm pretty sure, you know, I don't know, who did I even pick? Ego the Planet from Beak, or the Living Planet.
What is Ego gonna do?
Ego's gonna control a planet. I don't know. He's like immortal.
All right, so we won't go to that planet.
Oh, it's a fair one. We haven't decided like a realm to fight, but hey, whatever. This is the whole point. You have to make your case. Next now is Mr. Christopher Beek with 2 back-to-back picks.
All right, so for this first pick, I'm going to be completely honest. I have not seen Justice League, but after some quick research into Steppenwolf, I'm going with him. You know, this is the last-minute pick. I didn't get him into the facility for an interview, but you know, he looked good on tape. So we're gonna have to go with him. I think he's a real high talent, real potential to step up. And then for my other pick, I'm gonna say this is heavily influenced by the recent video game Spider-Man.
Ooh.
But I gotta go for Dr. Otto Octavius.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have to.
Okay, it's fair. Did you play the Spider-Man game?
Oh, yes, I did.
There we go. I hope Beak wins the draft now. So
This
Otto
is
Octavius, a genius, a brains-related pick for sure, was about to harness the power of the sun, or at least kind of does in Spider-Man 2, but he's also a formidable fighter. Basically, he controls those arms with his mind, so they move incredibly fast. That's why he's able to compete with Spider-Man. That's why that's why he can't really dodge, because he literally just thinks it and it goes there. And he's got 4 of them. So don't make any mistakes. Dr. Octopus, a formidable foe. don't make any mistake there.
Dude,
he might not sound as intimidating, but yeah.
He's got the tech smarts, you know,
Exactly.
helping everyone else on the team, outfitting them with what they need.
Exactly. Could pose a real threat to the rest of our teams here, I must say. So a nice pick there. 2 picks there from Beak. Without a doubt, Steppenwolf, I'd say, might be the worst villain, honestly, that's ever been a superhero movie. Like, honestly, like, he's so bad.
So bad.
He, like, speaks one word and just says, I'm going to destroy everything, and that's it. But he is strong, so I'll give him that. He's a team player.
No personality issues. No,
because he has none.
Just comes in and does his job.
Because he has no personality. Okay. Now next up is John. Let's see how he follows up his last pick of Juggernaut from Deadpool 2.
All right, so everybody's taken somebody from the Spider-Man universe.
Ooh.
I want one for myself, and this guy's an actual character. I'm taking the Green Goblin from Spidey 1.
Ooh. Okay. The
That's
Green Goblin.
Was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the actor's name? I love him too.
Willem Dafoe.
Dafoe, yes.
Great actor. A little bit crazy in this movie. He's definitely going for it. Got that Gollum thing going on where he's got 2 personalities basically. But he's formidable. He's fighting against Spider-Man. He's got the tech, and he has the means. He can be a financer of this team of yours. You know, he's rich.
He does.
He owns Oscorp.
He's
I know he
rich.
gets kicked out, but whatever. He's still probably rich. I mean, come on. Like, whatever. He got kicked out. He still probably has a lot of money. Stop it. This isn't The Dark Knight Rises. So, a good pick there from John. Now let's see what Cav does.
So, as I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking, what is this team missing? We've got strength, we've got brains, we've got wit, we've got followers.
You definitely have followers.
What we don't have is dark magic.
Okay.
And I think this person really fills a void on this team. So I'm happy to announce that Caecilius from Doctor Strange is this pick. You know,
very
helps
interesting.
Fills a hole in the team. Gets some dark magic in there. Master of the mystic arts. Very, very good pick. I think I'm happy with this one.
Mm-hmm. Now, for those
also Danish.
Yes, Mads Mikkelsen, great actor. He's very famous over there, by the way, from his home country. He's like huge. For those who don't remember, he's like the main villain in Doctor Strange besides that Dormammu thing. And just a note on that.
Well, how does Dormammu get to Earth?
With Caecilius' help.
The dimension.
True. And we haven't really seen what it would look like when he fights against people who don't use magic. So maybe you can make a case there. But
that's true. You
have to make the case, and that's the hard part for you. So just want to put a note out there. For those wondering, we just mentioned Dormammu. There are some characters that we banned from the draft. I should have mentioned this earlier. Just to list some of them: Apocalypse from X-Men Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix from X-Men 3, who quite literally just looks at people and they explode. So I thought that was a little bit much. The Sentinels as a group from X-Men Days of Future Past. I think 1 or 2 would have been allowed, but if it was drafting a Sentinel, I think that misses the point of the character and that villain of the Sentinels. I think they're supposed to be talked about as a group, so I think that was the point. Dormammu we banned as well because he just throws like ice shards of death into Doctor Strange within like 2 seconds. So I don't know. It was a small sample size, but I feel like he's just a little bit much. I don't know. I decided to take him out. And then Doomsday, we decided to take out. Although I think that was the one I didn't know about. I think you could make a case that you could be in there, but whatever. So yeah, that's just a note there. And now is it my pick? It is.
Yeah, take your time.
It is. So with my pick, I'm going to be taking Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, here's the thing with Electro. He's you feel bad for the guy. Jamie Foxx, of course, plays him in Amazing Spider-Man 2, a movie that I'm not really a fan of at all. But I think that he's quite powerful. You basically make contact with him and you get electrocuted. He's able to travel through electrical currents and go throughout all the buildings and gizmos and whatnot. If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's fine because a lot of people probably didn't like this movie or remember it. It was very forgettable. But I'm taking him, and because, I don't know, I want to have Jamie Foxx on my team. I really felt bad for him before he becomes Electro in this movie. It's really sad. He's like this really socially awkward, nerdy guy that's just, you feel bad. But he becomes a beast later. You know what I mean? He goes from being like a Peter Parker type to a Django type. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, John?
I do.
So that's
everyone knows I love Django.
Yes, you do love Django. So let me just put that down here. And with my next pick, I want to have a little connections. You know what I mean? I think that's sometimes part of this is you want to have connections with some of the people on your team. And that's how I won last time. I had some people who were related in some form or another. So with my next pick, I'm going to take Sabretooth from X-Men Origins Wolverine. Perhaps the worst movie that's been talked about so far. But nevertheless, he is powerful. He can heal. He can claw you to death quite easily. And honestly, he might be the best part about that movie. I think Liev Schreiber is actually terrifying. If anybody remembers watching X-Men Origins Wolverine, he's really scary. Just look up some clips. He's horrifying. And he's got that healing factor, albeit not as strong as Wolverine without the adamantium, but still, he can heal to a degree. And I like having that combo of X-24 and Sabretooth. So that's going to be my next pick there. And that leads us to Cav again. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, so I think that another missing part of this team is some air support. So I'm going to go with Vulture from Homecoming.
Okay.
Able to give us some air support with his wings and, just kind of help out there. He's also got a lot of friends, a lot of weapons, alien weapons. So always good to have a connection with that. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy with that pick. Fills a void. Little on the older side, so gonna have to train some young prospects.
A little bit on the older side.
He's like he's the vet presence.
The vet presence. What the Sixers were sorely lacking for years, right?
Yes. You know what? I was the first one out there saying that the Sixers needed a veteran presence on the team to help these young guys like Michael Carter-Williams. Tony wrote in all the superstar. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, happy with Vulture. I had to get my 30 seconds of Sixers, and you led me right to it. So thank you for that.
No problem, bud.
But happy to get Vulture to kind of lead this team and give some advice to the younger guys.
Well done, sir. Well done. I'm not going to make fun of you anymore, at least for a couple rounds. It's just becoming too easy at this point. I want to make it I'm going to spread it out a little bit. So let's see what happens next. That leaves us with, let me see here. That is John with the next pick.
Yep. So I'm looking at my team. Obviously, my team leader is the Joker, but I think I need a little bit more leadership. Juggernaut isn't the most vocal guy. So I'm going to go with the Red Skull from Cap First Avenger.
Might have ranked him a little bit too low here. Red Skull, passionate,
yeah, I was
inspired. Yeah, I probably should have ranked him a little bit higher. He just doesn't really, I don't know, didn't grab me enough. I forgot about him in a way. Probably could have ranked him higher, but still, definitely a leader type. and definitely a lot of willpower
He's a planner.
there, which
He's
is
a
important.
schemer.
He is a schemer. All right, for sure. So that now takes us to Beek, who is now going to go back-to-back with his picks.
All right, so with my first one, I think I'm going to go with Enchantress from Suicide Squad.
Ooh, here we go.
That movie was so bad, and I'm still not really sure what Enchantress does. but that scene in like the war room when she disappears, gets like the North Korean file, and comes back. That's
right.
all I needed to convince me for Enchantress. That was it.
He just looked at a couple peripherals and said, "That's it. We're in."
It's like that one highlight play you see, and you're just like, "That's it."
It was like Jadeveon Clowney a couple years ago when that play happened.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking about. And then next, I think I'm going to go with Emma Frost from First Class.
Interesting.
Because she works with my boy Sebastian Shaw.
And you gotta have, the chemistry pick.
You got to have that synergy. Also, having January Jones as the actress gives me some nice access to my boy Don Draper. You know, my team's going to need some marketing, some advertisement work to help get the public on our side. So I like the intangibles that Emma Frost brings more so than anything else.
Very interesting. Interesting pick. I like that. I like the explanation. You gave some meaning to the pick. I respect that. All right, so that leaves us now to John with his next pick. We are in round 9, I think. So we'll do maybe 2 more rounds. So plan accordingly, guys.
Perfect.
Clearly didn't plan this out perfectly.
People at this pick, they're going to scream nepotism, blah, 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 whatever. But I don't really care. I'm going with Harry Osborn. He has talent by himself, not just because of his dad, who's also on my team. But
from Spider-Man 3, right? Okay. He's definitely an inferior goblin, but he's got the goblin access, you know? Although he does get beat up by literally a web line and just gets backflipped in an alley and lands in a trash can. But okay. And then he forgets his memory for half the movie. But okay, we'll see what happens.
Hey, he goes out. Doesn't he die in a good way though?
He does. But that's the end of the movie. So don't worry, he still counts as a bad guy, I would say. Definitely still counts as a bad guy. Don't worry about that. I do enjoy the fight scene between him and Peter in their house, in his house or whatever. I don't know if you remember this scene because it's just ridiculous. He's like, I can't even say what he said. He's like, I protected you in high school, but now I'm going to kick your butt. He's like, ooh. That whole movie is just on something. I don't know what Sam Raimi was thinking for a lot of his creative choices, but an interesting pick there from John. Definitely nepotism, but whatever. Now, next up is Cav. And I must say, guys, I'm surprised that the God of War is still on the board. Ares from Wonder Woman. I'm a little bit surprised by that. Perhaps you guys know some insider info that I do not. Maybe this is like a draft day.
His medical report isn't very good.
His medical report isn't very good. Perhaps this is
he denied some teams some interviews and medical examinations, so red flags all around.
Maybe this is
scored poorly on the Wonderlic.
Is this like that the movie Draft Day, the hit movie, the masterpiece, some say, Draft Day, when they didn't take that one kid because people didn't attend his birthday?
I don't appreciate your sarcasm when talking about the greatest movie of all time, so I'd appreciate it.
All right, that's Venom. Relax, dude.
The second greatest movie of all time.
Okay. So let's see what Cav does here.
So I'm happy with the way my team's rounded out so far. I think this next person or entity that I'm going to take, he's a loyal, merciless warrior, loyal to the team, loyal to his leader, was able to go toe-to-toe with Captain Steve Rogers and was able to put him on his back, really, and that is Corvus Glaive. Ah,
yes. He destroys Vision 5 minutes into their fight, basically. Stabs him with that
right.
unblockable sword or what have you. So an interesting pick there from Cav. Let me put that down. Okay. Perhaps the smartest pick Cavs made in quite a while, I must say.
Listen, I have a well-rounded team. I'm happy with the way it turned out. I got all fields covered. There's no war or weapon that is left off my team, so I'm happy with the way this is shaken out so far.
Okay, it's fair. It's interesting because I literally brought up Ares to try and help you. I don't know if you noticed that because that's why I brought up Ares, the literal god of war.
I told you.
who's throwing
I don't need
knives and
strength.
stuff at Wonder Woman in that movie. But okay.
I don't need strength. I've got enough strength.
You got enough strength? Okay.
I
Alright,
just
fine.
need some length.
Okay. That's
Although
enough.
it's draft season, so it's actually length.
That's enough out of you. With my next pick, ooh, all right. I have to admit, a lot of the easy picks are off the board. I must say, a lot of the simple picks, a lot of the no doubters. So now I have to get crazy. I think I got to think about this for a second. I should take the Riddler. No, I'm gonna take with my next pick. I'm going to take. Let's see here. I have 2 picks actually. I'm going to take Hazazel from First Class, who's those who don't remember. It's basically evil Nightcrawler. He can teleport. He's got swords. I like teleportation. Doesn't seem like a personality problem. He's quite calm a lot of the times. Maybe he can be taken out a little bit too easily by the way he gets down by basically just being punched by Beast once. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine, everybody. He can still teleport everywhere. I'm good. So that's going to be one of my 2 back-to-back picks. Hazazel. Most people probably don't even remember this dude, but it's fine. First Class. See, I really could just win the draft by picking Ares here, but I'm not going to do that. I want to give you guys a fighting chance. So, with my next pick, I'm going to be taking, let's see here. You know what? Yeah, let's stay on brand. I'm going to take Deathstrike from X-Men 2 with my next pick. For those who don't remember, she is kind of, if you haven't seen X-Men 2, Cav, I know you're a big fan of the movie.
Totally.
She's basically kind of like the female version of Wolverine, got all that healing and stuff. And without some lucky placement of some items around the room, if anyone remembers, anyone recalls, Wolverine might have died there. So I'm just going to take, that's what I have. I have X-24, Sabretooth, and Deathstrike. I have all the X people, you know? Maybe it's a little monotonous. Probably is. Probably going to not benefit me. But whatever. I like to stay on brand, so that's my next pick.
Was that your second?
Yeah, that was my second, so now it's you.
Okay.
We're gonna do this round and then one more and then that's it.
Okay. I'm probably gonna get ridiculed for this pick. I know how he's gonna come after me, but I feel that I have enough firepower up top to reach on this pick and go for a need instead of best player available. So with that being said, this person has a way with gas warfare, is able to protect us from gas warfare, and that person's Scarecrow.
Ooh.
To kind of mess with everybody's mind, give them the nightmares, and I'm happy with that pick and able to do a little psychological warfare against the other teams. So
I assume from Batman Begins would be the one. That's basically the only time you really see him on display.
Yes.
But okay, all right,
Yes.
fine. It's interesting because I too like taking characters that might be useless if you're not 3 inches away from them.
Listen, there's enough people on this team.
You never heard of gas warfare?
I guess, yeah. It's just, in that movie he's like close to them. All right, cool. I'll just like move away. With Hazazel and teleport away.
You give the weapons up to Vulture. He flies overhead, drops them on the opposing.
Okay,
opposing
all right,
team.
all right.
It's tough to escape that.
All right, you have some planning at least. All right, some planning at least. I like it.
See, and that wouldn't have happened if I didn't diversify my team and cover all fields.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair. I'll allow it. Next up is Beak. This is his second to last pick, or is it Beak?
All right.
No, it's John. My mistake. It's John.
Oh.
With the next pick, and then Beak has
Come on,
back to back. My bad, bro. It's hard out here.
So for this pick, I'm admittedly going to do a little bit of projecting.
Okay.
But I think this pick is going to look great in a month. Maybe look okay right now. I'm going to take Nebula.
Ooh.
From Guardians.
The
1.
Guardians 1. She's definitely a bad guy in that one. Absolutely. What? I wasn't dissing. What are you laughing at? Say it. Say it. So interesting pick there. Definitely a definite upside for sure. Now we're not necessarily projecting as much for this draft, but it's a good thing to note, I would say, for sure. And that now takes us to Beak. You have back-to-back picks. These are his last 2 picks. Make them count, buddy. Or don't.
So,
I don't know.
Looking at my team, I think I need a little bit of mobility, getting from place to place. So, and this is also a little bit of a homer pick, but I got to go with Angel from
Ooh,
Apocalypse.
A homer pick. Why is it a homer pick?
Dude, Angel has always been my favorite X-Men. I don't know why. Maybe it's just his wings that just look dope when he flies across the screen in all the movies.
Okay.
But Angel, always number one. You got to go with him.
Mm-hmm. Kind of gets destroyed in Apocalypse. I'm not going to lie. He gets powered up and still loses to the same dude. I must say.
Yeah.
It's
hey,
kind of
wasn't a great performance. But
wasn't a great performance. But you're just picking based on potential. And maybe the rest of your team could make him better. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. And then my last pick, I think I got to go with a boom or bust pick. Fantastic Four wasn't his best performance.
Right.
You know, wasn't his best. I'm thinking he can live up to how he does in the comics or maybe in some other movies. So I think I got to go with Doctor Doom.
He's not on the display of the full Doctor Doom, who is quite like one of the 6, like one of the 10 most powerful villains in the comics. But in the movie, he basically just kind of has strength and kind of has a little electricity going for him. But it's still you're picking
a development pick.
A development pick. We're gonna try and iron out the kinks.
We're gonna put him in the G League
for
a little bit.
That's fair. Oh man, the G League. Oh my, or didn't it used to be the D League? Was it the D League? Right?
It was the D League.
Yeah, for Doctor Doom. There you go.
G League.
There you go for Doctor Doom.
Gotta get that Gatorade money.
So that's it for Beek's team. John, your last pick, sir.
I'm going to take Psylocke from Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand there's some character concerns with her because at the end of her movie, she does immediately leave her team when they lose. She kind of just bolts. But I'm a fan of her, and Olivia Munn is dope.
She is. I remember when we were watching that with Noah, and she gives that look at the end of the movie when like the heroes have won or whatever. Like she's like, "I'll be back," like that "I'll be back" look. And I was just like, "What are you gonna do?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What are you gonna do?" That was pretty funny. Okay, interesting pick there. Psylocke from X-Men Apocalypse. Now we move on to Cav with his last pick of the draft. Let's see what he does here.
Last pick of the draft. I'm not totally comfortable with this pick, but you got to do what you got to do when you're this late in the draft. I'm going to go with Proxima Midnight, of course, from Infinity War, who I also just learned that Corvus Glaive is her husband and adopted brother.
Okay. Wait, what?
Whoa.
Wait, hold on. What is this, Game of Thrones? What happens?
Listen, I have no idea. I was just doing some reconnaissance and found that out. So, again, another person who's loyal, follows orders. Good to have that chemistry on the team with Corvus Glaive. I think that'll be good. They'll be able to work well together. You saw it. She was also able to go toe-to-toe with Black Widow and the other person whose name is escaping me right now. And then, of course, Scarlet Witch came and saved the day for all those guys. But very good pick. She's got her spear and her sword. So she's good. Happy with that pick.
All right. I'm glad you're happy because anyone who was betting on you to win this draft is certainly not happy based on your performance. But it's okay. With my final pick, the Red Capes are coming. The Red Capes are coming. I'm going to take Lex Luthor. But I'm wondering if I should throw a little curveball and not take him from BVS, despite me just quoting him there, and take him from the original 1978 Superman movie. That might be a little bit overpowered. I don't care. I don't remember that movie because I think I've only seen 15 minutes of it, but he's in it. I know that for sure. He's in it, and he's probably a lot smarter than the one at BVS, who's like, hey, I got an idea. Let me release the thing that only Superman can beat, and once it beats Superman, I can't control it anymore. Here's another idea. Let's shoot people, and for some reason, Superman gets blamed for it. Movie makes no sense. It's hilarious. I like the part where he's trying to give the guy a Jolly Rancher. He's like, you want a Jolly Rancher? It's like, what are you doing? He was trying really hard to be the Joker. I'm taking 1978 version of Superman, despite my inexperience with that movie, because just by default, he's definitely better. The Kevin Spacey one was another option, but yeah, I think it's self-explanatory why I did not pick that version. So let's recap the full teams.
it's pretty fitting that you took Lex Luthor as Mr. Irrelevant.
What?
Last pick of the draft, Lex Luthor, Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't get the connection. Please explain.
Neither do I. I don't. I was hoping you would pull something out.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the perfect summation of how this draft went. Let's all recap our teams and make any final, represent our teams. So, Chris Beeck, his team consists of Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Sebastian Shaw from X-Men First Class, Ronan from Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, The Abomination from The Incredible Hulk, the movie that every Marvel fan has definitely seen, Mystique from X-Men Days of Future Past, that version. Let's see here. Steppenwolf from the Justice League. Dr. Otto Octavius from Spider-Man 2. The Enchantress from Suicide Squad. We don't know what she does. But still. Then we have Emma Frost from X-Men First Class. Then Angel from X-Men Apocalypse. And then Dr. Doom from Fantastic Four. The often maligned movie. Because are there any points you want to make here?
Hey, I just want to say I'm happy with my team. I think we got some well-rounded players, some well-rounded villains that can really come together, make a good squad, fight for what's not right. And hey, I just got to say I'm happy.
Okay. I like it. Short and sweet and to the point. All right. No other points from Beak about his team. Now let's go through John's team. He took the Joker from The Dark Knight. Let's be specific. You don't want maybe the other versions. Or you could make an argument for other ones like Jack Nicholson, who's just a gangsta in his one. Joker from The Dark Knight. Then Ultron from Avengers Age of Ultron. Killmonger from Black Panther. Ebony Maw from Infinity War, the psychic telekinesis one, who's really a depressing guy. He's just like, you've been brought at the mercy of your Lord like he's like crazy. Like it's like, what am I watching? Like
I picked him.
Like a cult? Like this is insane. But yeah, he's a savage for sure. Then Whiplash from Iron Man 2, like I said, questionable why he chose whips as his weapon, but whatever. Juggernaut from Deadpool 2. Not Kai Seals. Green Goblin from the first Spider-Man movie, not the Dane DeHaan one in Amazing Spider-Man 2, who shows up literally like 2 minutes left in the movie. I don't understand that, but whatever. The Red Skull from Captain America 1, probably a sleeper pick, I would say. Definitely got taken a little bit later than most people would assume. Then Harry Osborn from Spider-Man 3, basically Little Goblin Jr., and then Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and then Psylocke from X-Men Apocalypse. That is John's team. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, people are going to look at my team. They're going to say not a lot of firepower. Joker was a reach at 2. But I think I can safely say I have the most evil team in this entire draft. So that, to me, means that I won. Interesting.
You're making up rules now for why you win. That's interesting. It's like if with the...
In the supervillain draft, I think evilness is the most important.
It could
That's
be.
how I made my draft board.
Even though, despite I did say that this was for a battle, he's trying to change the rules on us, ladies and gentlemen. An interesting strategy. I'm not letting it happen, but I respect it. I respect the hustle, John. I do. A solid team from John for sure. Definitely a solid team.
It's interesting that John thinks he has the most evil team when the leader of my team literally wiped out half of life in the universe.
Ooh.
So it's just strange that you can.
Yeah, but did he do it because he's evil, or did he do it because he thinks it's the right thing?
Thanos did nothing wrong.
Yeah, Thanos didn't do anything wrong. I'd say he's the least evil character in this whole thing.
I mean, arguably his worst thing is his treatment of Nebula, just totally casting her aside. Like that's like the underlying theme of this. That's like there's no reason for why he treats her that way. There's no reason. The half of all life, like at least he has a reason. There's no reason he's like, oh, you're a waste of parts. It's like, oh my God, this guy's horrible. So we'll see how the chemistry plays along in that. Maybe Nebula tries to kill him on John's team, but who knows? So now let's go through Cav's team. As you mentioned, he has Thanos. Then he has Loki from Thor 1, not in his prime and not when.
I would like to make an amend to that. On this sheet, you do have Loki, the Avengers, and so that's who I thought I was taking. And when you asked what version, it threw me for a loop. But I thought that the character list was the one I was taking.
So basically, what you're telling me is you choked under the pressure. Is that what you're telling me?
No. You asked a question that didn't need to be asked, and it threw me for a loop because
So that's
I was
my
not
fault
expecting...
now. So it's my fault for your mistake by just asking and being sure what character you wanted. Interesting.
Well, you shouldn't have to ask because you had already written it down. Which character?
Guys, what do you
was the
think?
one
Should
that
we let him
taken.
change it to the different version of Loki? What do you think?
You know how I'm gonna vote. Anything against Cav, that's what I'm voting for.
That's true.
Yeah,
No,
Cav,
we did run into this problem with our first draft, and we did not change the pick, did we?
I don't remember. Oh, with Noah and Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because he picked the one from his movie instead of Infinity War, where he's doing all the cool stuff. Yeah, I don't think we let him change. I'm pretty sure we didn't let him change. Yeah, okay. Well, no, Noah ran with it, though. Noah ran with it. He was like, yeah, I'm staying with it.
Oh, he
Like,
did
clearly
run
he
with
was
it. Yeah, didn't try
ashamed,
to challenge.
but he didn't want to admit it. He was like, yeah, sure. So, what do you... I'm going to... I mean, Cav's team is so bad that I think we should just let him change it.
All right, let's give it to him.
I'm going to put an asterisk next to this just to let everybody know that we took pity on him. So that was his second pick from the Avengers. He's kind of in charge of an army. He's a trickster. He's devious. You can't always trust him, but he's got that Tesseract too and that staff. So we'll see what happens there. Next pick from Cav was Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. Obviously a recency bias pick for a movie he finished about an hour ago, but still I respect it. Definite leader. He's got the brains and he's got some brawn for sure. He broke the bat. Not an easy thing to do. Then after that, he took Riot from Venom. Oh my gosh. Remember when he's like, the part when Venom, they're fighting, he's like, what did he say? Like how he's so much more powerful than Venom? I forgot what he says. He's like, he got beat up.
He's got weapons you have never seen before. Oh, he didn't say weapons. I think he said the S word, but we can't say that on air.
Oh, yeah. He did say that. Along with many other words we can't say on air from that movie. So that's that pick from Cav. Then he took Venom from Spider-Man 3, a movie he has not seen yet, but he just took him because it was Venom. Then he took, let's see here, the Winter Soldier from Captain America 2. Then Caecilius from Doctor Strange, which is the main villain of that movie, who's throwing like invisible dart things. I don't know what they were doing in that movie. It's kind of insane, actually. A sleeper pick. He controls magic, and we don't really know what it looks like. When it comes to Doctor Strange, we don't know what it looks like when those guys fight other regular people. You know what I mean? So maybe Cav can make an argument there. Then the Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming, played by former Batman Michael Keaton. Then Corvus Glaive from Avengers Infinity War, who just completely murks Vision. I mean, I can't emphasize enough how much Vision choked in that movie. He really did. He was like Harrison Barnes in the playoffs like 4 years ago. He really was. It was just pathetic.
Was it Vision choking, or was it Corvus Glaive being a better fighter?
I think it's Vision choking. I'm gonna go out on a limb. He had like 3 days to heal, and he's still not available for the fight. What are you doing, dude? Like, come on, just stop. You're getting dragged. I don't know, but all right, you can make that point. Then his next pick was Scarecrow from Batman Begins. So whoever is thinking about being right in front of the enemy, you better watch out. So because Scarecrow will get you.
How do you think people fight?
I don't know. They shoot them with guns.
With special powers and abilities.
They rip them in half like Juggernaut did. I don't know.
So you're saying that you have to be in close proximity to the person?
That's not what I'm saying.
Well,
the comic version's different. The comic version's like a little bit more crafty with the way he uses the gas. In this movie, he literally has a burlap sack over his head, and then he just walks up to people.
Yeah,
and that's it.
The team can harness that power and
all right.
fight with it however they feel like.
They're all going to have a sack on their head.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's going to be the team uniform.
There's no way to wage biological warfare on this team if they're all wearing the Scarecrow's mask.
Yeah, sure. And then his last pick, Proxima Midnight from Avengers Infinity War. A nice chemistry pick, so I won't make fun of that one because I already made fun of the rest of your team. And then lastly, my team, which I forgot, honestly, guys, what my team was for a while. I have Magneto from X-Men Apocalypse, Hela from Thor Ragnarok, General Zod from Man of Steel, X-24 from Logan, Sandman from Spider-Man 3, Ozymandias from Watchmen, Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2, then Sabretooth from X-Men Origins, then Hazazel from X-Men First Class, who gets taken down by one punch, but whatever. He can teleport. That's all I care about. It's like I'm ignoring all the other peripherals. He can't play defense, he can't pass, but he can score. You know what I'm saying? That's all I need. Then I have Deathstrike from X-Men 2, and with my last pick, Lex Luthor, the 1978 Superman version. Ladies and gentlemen, this sounds biased. I really think I won. If we're talking about a fight, I really do. I have way too many characters that you guys can't match. That's just what I think. What do you think?
Listen, I think that if I knew more of these people, I'd be able to give a takedown in your team. But
well, maybe if you weren't watching all 6 seasons of Veep over the last 2 weeks, yeah, I'm exposing you. Maybe you would have been able to study more, Cav.
Hey! It was a week and a day.
A week and a day. Oh, my mistake. Even worse.
Yeah,
Even worse. You did it to yourself.
Don't sell me short. Don't sell me short. My binge ability.
Okay. This was fun. I'm going to post on Twitter, perhaps a poll. I'll put it on Instagram. I think we let the people decide. I think that's the best way to do this. You got to let the people decide.
I'm confident that the people will see who the real winner is.
Because last time it was between me and John. Noah completely choked. And like he really did. Messed up his first pick. I don't know what he was thinking. And then it was between me and John. But I gave myself the benefit because I had Chris Evans twice, both as the Human Torch and as Captain America. So I thought that gave me the upper edge. But hey, I'm not going to diss John. It was a close one for sure. So yeah, Cav is right. Cav basically has the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's basically what he has, guys. He has LeBron and Thanos, and then nothing else.
Thanos is LeBron.
And then he has before they were truly atrocious. Like maybe Kyrie is like his riot.
I would say Loki's. Yeah. I was just say Loki's Kyrie. A little bit self-centered.
Loki's Tyronn Lue. Let's be real.
That's also fair. That's also true.
Or it's J.R. Smith, maybe, after he threw soup at somebody. So that was another thing. So yeah, an interesting team from Cav there. He basically has the Cleveland Cavaliers. Maybe that was his goal. I basically have, I don't know, the Rockets, maybe the Warriors. I don't know. It's hard to say. Guys, I had a lot of fun doing this. Any final thoughts, though? Any final words you'd like to say to make your case to the people?
Listen, I think that when you look at something like this, you got to take the whole team into account. This team has offense, defense, it blocks shots, it gets steals, court vision. It's all on this team. There's may only be one and a half standout players on this team, but I think together their strengths complement each other, and I'm confident that the people will see that this team together can take down any team put in their way.
Okay, interesting. Beeck, John, you got anything to say? Chris, I should say. I keep calling him Beeck. I think people keep forgetting his first name. I'm just so used to it.
Oh, well. I think my team speaks for itself. We got a home base in an entire planet in Ego. We got a tech guy in Otto Octavius. We got some pure strength with Abomination. We got some commanders, some people who know what they're doing in Ronan, Sebastian Shaw. I just think the team sheet speaks for itself.
John, you have anything to add?
I think my team does too, but I also know that your viewer base loves movies. So if you like movies, then you got to like my team. I got the best movies. I got The Dark Knight. I got Deadpool 2. I think I won that part of the draft.
John with an excellent smear campaign trying to change the rules of what the draft was. He's like, well, I picked the best movies.
Because I know that my team can't win in an actual battle. So.
Okay. Hey, it's fair. There are plenty of like runner-up votes and stuff. It's better to be the runner-up than just getting destroyed, So I respect it. Yeah, and that's all I have to say. I hope everyone enjoyed this Supervillain draft. I certainly did. It was all over the place. I can't wait to look at the teams as a whole later. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Maybe I'll have these guys on another time for another draft. Is there any other one we could have? Maybe I've been for the longest trying to get a video game characters draft, but I don't know if anybody is as nerdy enough for that. But who knows? Because Cav didn't watch anything. You want Star Wars? You want Star Wars, huh? Interesting.
I think so.
Star Wars would we include Mr. Watto? Adi. Would we include him?
First overall pick.
Yeah, first overall pick, right?
Clearly.
Yeah, that could work because I want to make sure we pick one that everybody's fluent with because clearly there's a little bit of an imbalance this time. Just a little bit.
Yeah,
Cav is literally texting.
That Javi couldn't hold his own in this draft.
Yeah, it's a wonder, right? The fact that I came up with this. I enjoyed having you guys on, and I'll talk to you guys later. The next time I want to vanquish you in a draft of some sorts. All right, see you guys next time.
Thanks, man.
See ya.
All right, always a pleasure.
See ya.
See ya.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was it for the Supervillain Draft with Mr. Mike Cavalier, John Ostrowsky, and Christopher Beeck. Had a lot of fun doing that. I'll post the results later. But for now, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, just gonna close things out. We don't really have anything else to talk about, but we're gonna close things out here on the show. So yeah, stay tuned for one final thing. You're listening to 90.3 WMC Upper Montclair. WMC Upper Montclair. The waning hours of the show. That about does it. It was a great one, guys. This is one of my favorite shows I think I've ever done. Talked with my friend Josh about Borderlands for a while, one of the great gaming conferences I've ever seen, and I was super happy to have Natalie Weiner of SB Nation call in. That was just super awesome, and it was really surprising that she even got back to me at first. I was like, no way, like this can't be happening. This is insane. So I really appreciate having her on. She's really insightful, super smart, and she's a great writer. She's a great thinker and everything, and I really recommend everyone checking out her work. Wherever, just look her up, basically, and you'll be able to find everything. And, of course, I really enjoyed doing the Supervillain Draft, and everybody who tuned in. Maybe I had more listeners today than usual. I don't really know. According to a group chat I'm in, I did have a couple more people. But let me tell you, I had a lot of fun. This is cool, and I really enjoy doing this show, and it's days like this that remind me, why I do it. Not to sound like overly sentimental or anything like that, but that's how it feels, and I'm happy that I, get to do this. It's really fun. And now I'm going to probably go to sleep. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Went to bed at like 4, something like that, I think. Like 4:14. I don't know. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night. So that's what I'm going to go do now, ladies and gentlemen. That about does it for today's edition of the Digital Dash. Remember that you can always tune into the show every Monday from 10 to 1 p.m. here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair or the iHeartRadio app. As always, to close things out, it's Journey with Separate Ways, Worlds Apart. Remember, everyone, never accept the world for what it appears to be. Dare to see it for what it could be. I'm Javier Reyes, and I hope you all have a terrific night. See you next time.